Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here in my secret hero lair. I am, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an awesome honor and privilege, as it is every day, to have you, my international friends, joining me as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news and all sorts of good stuff. And it's Thursday, and that means right here joining me, of course, is one Aaron Cummings. Aaron, how you doing?
Witchy Bitchy Thursday. Hi,
I'm
John.
sorry, what did you just call it?
It's Witchy Bitchy Thursday, so I'm wearing Joey Bishop's little witch hat from yesterday. This is my costume today. This is as dressed up as I was able to do. I had a whole thing planned, but mismanaged my time as per usual, and so here we go.
Now, tell everybody what we were going to get from Joey.
So because Joey looks so much like one, I was going to get her a little Ewok costume from Petco, and all they had was Yoda, which would have worked perfectly too, because she would have been a super cute Yoda. And then we went to see Dr. Sleep last night, and Petco was closed. So it was just a my bad situation. But I feel like every day can be Halloween, so I might go get a Yoda and an Ewok costume anyway, and just surprise you guys one
Joey
day.
looked so adorable yesterday. Oh, speaking of adorable, also sitting in here over here is Chris Carr. Chris, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. I'm Speed Racer.
Go, Speed Racer, go.
But there
you
it
are
is.
Speed Racer today,
Yeah.
apparently.
I'm gonna be a Aziraphale tonight from Good Omens, but I figured without my Crowley that didn't make sense. And we're dressing up our dogs too. So
As what?
Gimli's gonna be the Archangel Gabriel, because he's the good boy, and then Trico's going to be Beelzebub, and they both have little wings because Trico's the bad boy.
We've tried to dress up our dogs before. They hate putting on clothes.
You just have to praise them, because
it.
Joey was the same way. She did not want to wear her this witch's hat until all of a sudden people kept starting going, "Oh my gosh, how cute, how cute!" And then she was like, "Oh, me? Oh, you think I'm
no.
pretty?" And
We
then
tr-
now
we
she's
tried
like,
it. We
No?
tried it. No.
"Flattery will get you everywhere with Joey."
No. As with a lot of people. Anyway, guys, listen, we got a lot of things to talk about here today. But before we get into our main topics, I've got to bring this up. It's Halloween time. Couple of my favorite guys in movies and entertainment today: Charlie Cox, who was, of course, in Daredevil, and Tom Hiddleston, who was Loki, of course. They're doing a Broadway show together right now.
Wow.
Yeah. Right now they're doing a Broadway show together.
What's the show?
I can't remember. But
I will look it up.
Yes,
But
please.
so then they went out for Halloween. They went out to a Halloween party together, and they decided to dress up as each other's characters.
Oh my
Charlie
gosh.
Cox dressed up there as Loki, as you can see, and Tom Hiddleston dressed up
that's
as Daredevil,
awesome.
which
That's so cute.
I just thought that was great. I thought that was completely adorable. So not a story, just wanted to bring that up. Okay,
Well, I
listen.
love that they're having a little bromance, a little
Yes.
Broadway bromance.
So listen, there are a couple things for us to talk about off the top here before we get to our
Oh,
main
it's a
topic.
revival of Betrayal. Ooh. I would go see that.
All right, first thing I want to mention is this. A new movie opens next week. It is a restart sequel, anyway, to The Shining. It's, of course, Dr. Sleep with Ewan McGregor. And Aaron and I had a chance to go see this last night. And listen, I got to tell you, I will admit that when they first announced this movie, I didn't think it was the best idea to do it. It just didn't sound like an interesting idea to me. Now, I'd never read the book. But I thought, this doesn't sound... I mean, it's an intriguing idea, but I wasn't all that into it. Then I started to see the trailers, and I'm like, this actually looks pretty good. Went out to go see it last night, an early Fandango screening. I got to tell you what, I really enjoyed this movie. I had a very good time at it, and I'd say about 3/4 of this movie I loved. 1/4 of it, actually, it's not even a quarter. It's a little bit smaller than that, but one segment of the film I just couldn't get into. And you guys see in the trailers that at some point in the movie, they end up back at the hotel from The Shining. So that's no giveaway. That's in the trailers. I got to admit, I didn't dig that part. I didn't dig that part so much. And I'm hearing a lot of people online who went to the early screenings last night very divided over that. Some people thought it was the best part of the movie. Some people thought it was the worst part of the movie. But overall, really quite good. Ewan McGregor's fantastic. Rebecca Ferguson, I can eat that girl up. She's so talented, and she's got such a screen presence. She was so good in this. I love the mythology they introduced in this movie, which I won't give too much away. It's better if you just discover it for yourself in the movie. The little girl, whose character's name is Abra, I believe. Mm-hmm. And the little play on abracadabra, I'm sure. But a little girl named Abra, I am not a big fan of kids in movies.
Her name's Kylie Curran.
Kylie Curran.
I believe that's how you pronounce her last name. Curran. Curran.
I am not a big fan of kids in movies, but
Hot
I'm a big
take.
fan of her. I'm a big fan of her now. She was really good, and the on-screen dynamic between her and Ewan McGregor, I thought was great. There were many moments last night, Aaron, where a lot of people were in the theater and just would abruptly cheer because of certain. Again, I'm not going to give away what happens or anything, but it was not just like a good follow-up to The Shining. It's an entertaining little movie at the same time. And I had a very, very good time with it. Totally met my expectations. What did you think about Dr. Sleep?
I loved it. First of all, when it comes to the horror genre in general, my favorite go-to horror films are psychological thrillers. I'm not really into the Saw movies. Even the Freddy and the Jason, like I'll watch them and they're fun, but it's not what I'm drawn to. I love watching people outsmart one another, and that is one of the things that makes this movie so exciting, is that just when one person has the upper hand, all of a sudden it's a trick and the other person has the upper hand, and you never know when it's going to come. I love that. The performances, like you said, were phenomenal across the board. The children, Jacob Tremblay, we were talking about last night.
Small role, but so good in it.
Bruce Greenwood, small role, but
Yep.
phenomenal. Really, really strong performances across the board by everyone. Ewan McGregor really services this film, and Rebecca Ferguson, she could have chemistry with a chalkboard, and chalkboard is a reference to this movie, by the way. I thought everything about it was great, especially the hotel parts. Which
See, it's a dividing part for a lot of people. Some people loved it, some people didn't care for it so much.
And this is what I like about it, is I think that if you, for someone who has not seen the original Shining, or for someone who hasn't seen it in a very long time, it's really going to give a lot of reference. So you really feel like you have a sense of the first film. You have a sense of where everything took place. You understand, even without having seen the first film, what places has significance. Like he walks into the ballroom and you know, okay, the ballroom is a big deal. There are certain characters that are... well, I won't ruin that.
Yeah, don't give anything
But
away.
I also, what I was saying to you last night, John, is I really enjoyed how Mike Flanagan, who directed and wrote and produced and edited this movie, I was surprised that he didn't do the composition as well. He really paid homage to Stanley Kubrick's shots, the way, like, he mimicked those long overhead shots of the sweeping landscape, mimicked those with drones in this. And there was the palpable actual sound of a heartbeat, that thump, 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 that was throughout the film, that really carried. I thought the score was just beautiful. So I really enjoyed it, and I immediately texted Tom and said, movie was great. I would see it again with you. And it actually made me want to go back and rewatch The Shining.
And it did that for me too. And I had the same conversation with Ann. It was like, you know what? This movie is really good, and I think you're going to really like it. Let's go back and see it again. So listen, guys, I know probably a bunch of you probably had the opportunity to go to these Fandango advanced screenings last night. If so, what did you think of The Shining? Jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thought. All right, let's do another off the top here. And another thing off the top is this, just dropped this morning. We know that, of course, another Jumanji movie is coming. First of all, that last Jumanji movie. Another film that I think, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. But I love Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I like Kevin Hart. I like Jack Black. Let's go, and Karen, of course, from Guardians. Let's go see it. So blown away by how thoroughly entertained I was by it. So then we've got this new one coming, which I'm really excited about. The first trailer came out. I didn't love it. Did not love the first trailer. And I thought, okay, you know what? I still got faith in the film, but, this trailer didn't do anything for me. Well, a brand new trailer for Jumanji, which I believe is subtitled Jumanji: The Next Level, has now come out. Of course, the gang's all back together again. This time we're adding Danny Glover and we're adding Danny DeVito in the film as well. This is the trailer that should have been the first trailer. This trailer I thought was great. Whereas the first trailer for this thing did nothing to move my needle at all on the film whatsoever. This trailer recaptured that charm that the first movie had. It recaptured that charm that the first one with The Rock had. It felt like that world again. The other trailer did not to me. And oh my God, Kevin Hart doing Danny Glover is fantastic. Dwayne Johnson doing Danny DeVito is fantastic. And one of the neat things they did too, they ended this trailer with, because one of the best parts of the original one with Dwayne Johnson was Jack Black playing the teenage girl. They go back to that at the end of this trailer, which I thought was great to see as well. So I got to tell you, as much as I was underwhelmed with the first trailer for Jumanji: The Next Level, this one has more than made up for it for me. I personally loved it. Chris, you just watched it for the first time this morning. What did you think about this trailer? And what did you think about the original film? I've never asked you that.
The original film, I actually didn't go see in theaters. I didn't see till it was on demand. And then I fell in love with it. It was because my friend Whitney was like, you guys have to watch this. I can't believe you haven't seen it. This is so dumb and up Logan's alley. And it sure was. I really enjoyed it. I kind of had a similar experience with the first few trailers here of, okay, I guess this looks interesting. And I'm interested to see how this changes up with the actors portraying different characters. But man, this one really landed for me. And I also have been really concerned about Jack Black not being Bethany again. So that little touch at the end, because he's so good at doing that whole Valley Girl thing. I'm so pumped. And I'm just really impressed with his ability to mimic his co-stars. I love the jokes that Kevin and Dwayne are getting to make at their own expense about their own appearances and everything.
I think my eyes are a different color.
Yeah. All of it seems golden. I'm so excited about it. And the horse bit just killed me. I did not see that coming. I loved it. I'm pumped.
Aaron, what did you think about it?
Yeah, I thought the first trailer was cute. And I was like, because I'm totally into body swapping, Freaky Friday kind of stuff. So I automatically am drawn to that. But I really thought that this trailer delved more into that. We saw more of the personality of Danny DeVito and Danny Glover coming out in Kevin Hart and The Rock. And I really enjoyed it. And same with you, it made me want to go see the movie, which is exactly what a trailer is supposed to do. Yeah. And also I feel like this one gave a lot more of the action and the intensity and the ferociousness of, okay, in this game, you might not make it out alive, and you probably won't. So I felt the actual fear and the excitement and the trepidation that I would actually feel in the movie theater seat, which is what I want. I mean, John, you saw me last night. When I get scared, my feet go up. I'm clutching onto you. Like,
yeah, I've still got some minor bruises on my arms, I think.
It's a physical reaction that I have, and I like that. I want to be able to feel it. And so from the trailer, I was able to go, oh yeah, that's a movie that's going to have me jumping into my seat.
Question is, guys, have you had, and by the way, when they say at the end, one of you is not getting out alive, obviously it's either going to be DeVito or Glover, right? They're not going to have one of the kids die. It's going to be either DeVito or Glover die at the end.
Right, but wouldn't that be The Rock or Kevin Hart dying then?
Yeah, but that's just a character in a video game. The character can respawn later. But so the character in the game can respawn, so that's fine. But I think they're clearly not going to have one of the teenagers die.
Oh god,
out in the real world. So we'll see how that goes. Questions, guys. What did you think about this new Jumanji trailer? Jump down in the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, one last thing off the top here before we get into our main topics, and this is just a little quick side note, but they did announce a while ago that Jeffrey Wright and Jonah Hill had entered into talks to join the new Matt Reeves Batman film. Of course, Jonah Hill immediately became out, and then almost as immediately, Paul Dano was ushered in, which I thought, I'll take that trade. I love Jonah Hill. He's great. Paul Dano is world-class, though, and I'm really happy for his casting. Well, now it has become official. Matt Reeves actually got on Twitter and on his social media to confirm himself that it's a done deal. Jeffrey Wright is going to play Commissioner Gordon in the new Batman film. And I got to tell you what, it again, look, what they have been doing and the approach they're taking with this Batman film is they're not going for the big A-list superstar sexy names. They're going for stupid talent. They went out and got Robert Pattinson. Of course, you can argue that Robert Pattinson is a well-known name, but he's not known as an A-list actor at this point, blah, blah, but he has been turning in world-class performance after world-class performance after world-class performance for the past 7 years. Then you get a Paul Dano. Then you get a Jeffrey Wright. You get I almost said Zazie Beetz. You get Zoe Kravitz. I love Zazie Beetz too. I always got Zazie Beetz on my mind. But you go out and get Zoe Kravitz, who's been doing phenomenal work. And this is great. So I see this confirmation. Again, it's just tidying up a little bit of house cleaning here, but the confirmation is nice to see because once Jonah Hill departed, it opened up the idea of like, I hope Jeffrey Wright doesn't ditch out too. So I thought this was great. Aaron, what do you think about, this now that we got final confirmation that Jeffrey Wright is going to be in this Batman film?
Jeffrey Wright elevates every project that he is in. From the first time that he came onto the scene in Basquiat, if you haven't seen it, it's obviously about the artist Jean-Michel Basquiat and his relationship with Andy Warhol. If you haven't seen it, it's phenomenal. I also saw him in London do Top Dog, Underdog with Mos Def, which was great. That was like 15, 20 years ago. He is absolutely a phenom, and him being involved in this really shows exactly what you were saying, that they are focusing on talent, focusing on storytelling. And really, at the end of the day, if you have that, then that's what matters. And so I love the fact that they're rounding out this cast with really strong performances and names that are known, faces that are recognizable, but not people that are just, the A-list names that you assume that people just want to go want to throw in there for the financial aspect of it. I love it.
What do you think about it, Chris?
Oh, I 100% agree. I love that you said he elevates everything. He absolutely does. And this was a casting choice, too, that was a little unexpected, but once it came out, it was, oh my gosh, who could be more perfect for Gordon? Who can be stern but comforting and have this kind of father figure that we as an audience need and that Bruce needs? And I think Jeffrey is going to do an amazing job. I could not be more thrilled with this.
And by the way, other than James Earl Jones and Jeremy Irons, I think the third best pure voice in Hollywood. Jeffrey Wright's voice kills me. And here's the other thing about his casting, and this is another little thing. Even the people out there who are like, this is a bad casting. This character's supposed to have brown eyes, and this actor has blue eyes, or the color of the hair, or the color of the skin, blah, blah, blah. Even those people were like, Jeffrey Wright as Commissioner Gordon. No, we got nothing.
Yeah, I feel like Jeffrey Wright has a strong.
He's
he has a Morgan Freeman quality about him. Like I can see Jeffrey Wright taking the mantle of Morgan Freeman and playing God at a certain point in his life,
especially with that voice.
Yes.
Especially with that voice. Absolutely. Question here is, guys, listen, we were all excited about the news of him being in talks, but now it's absolutely official. How do you feel about that and his addition to the Batman movie? Jump on down the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down out of the way, let's now move on to our main topics today. How do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's really rather simple to see you guys come up with them by simply going to my website, www.thejohncampeashow.com/contact. Once you guys get there, you're going to see a form. Fill it out with your topic or question, hit submit, and then maybe, just maybe, you might see your topic or question featured here on the John Campea Show. With that down, Chris, what is our first main topic today?
First topic is from David. Hey, John. Did you see Sony posted a new slightly extended version of Jonah Jameson's Far From Home post-credit
Jonah
scene?
Jameson's.
Oh, did I say it? Did I say Johanna? Oh my gosh. Sorry, guys. Oh, everyone in the chat's going to yell at me.
Chris, oh my gosh.
She's a fake geek girl and we hate her even more now. What'd you think? Do you still think the unmasking of Spider-Man will be solved off camera? Do you think that's going to still be solved off camera?
So here's the thing. We all, of course, know that one of the best post-credit scenes in comic book movie history they did with Spider-Man Far From Home, with the whole return of J.K. Simmons. And it's so funny because I've said for years, I have this thing about reboots. When you reboot, you don't bring back actors. You don't bring them back unless they're going to play a different role, but you don't bring them back. If you reboot, you reboot. And I've said for years, I have two exceptions to that. One, James Earl Jones as Mufasa if you ever redo Lion King. Two, J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson if you ever do that again. And I've been saying that for like 7 years, and now they have both come to pass just in the last year. So I was thrilled seeing him in there. Everybody got a big kick out of it. And of course, they did a lot of ooh and ah and stuff like that. And it was a great shot. So Sony, for those of you who missed it, Sony just released yesterday a longer cut, and you just find it on YouTube, a longer cut of that J. Jonah expose video that he put out, praising Mysterio as the greatest superhero of all time and how the people of America are going to rise up against this menace Spider-Man and all this kind of stuff. And it was a lot of fun and it was really good. That brings up what they're asking the question. In light of this re-release and a little bit more emphasis on this revelation, do I still believe that this isn't going to be the point of the next movie? Because I said before that I believe, and it very well could be, the next Spider-Man movie, whatever it's called, the next Spider-Man movie very well could be about dealing with the aftermath of what Jonah Jameson said in the post-credit scene of Spider-Man Far From Home. It absolutely could be. That said, I suspect that it's not going to be an issue at all. I suspect they're going to have a quick one-line reference to it's like, whoo, thank goodness Nick Fury released that government footage proving that that was a fake story. And then they're going to move on with the real thing. We have seen several times that something potentially significant happens in a Marvel post-credit scene that is then just completely brushed over later with a quick reference or whatever, and they just move on with the story they do want to tell. I do not think the Spider-Man filmmakers should be beholden to their entire movie because of what they put in a post-credit scene in a previous film. I still do believe it's going to be dealt with off-screen. Now, don't misquote me. I am not sitting here saying that's absolutely what's going to happen. Clearly, it's still a very viable possibility that the post-credit could become the basis of the next movie. I just still think it won't. Anyway, Aaron, did you have a chance to see this this extended clip? And do you think they're going to base the next movie on this?
I did not see the extended clip because I'm a bad girl and I did not do my homework. However, I hear what you're saying and I agree with you. I think that the post-credit, those to me are the oh shit moments that make you want to go see the next one. It's like you feel like, okay, we've had our climax, we've had our denouement, we've had the roller coaster of emotions of the film, and we're all ready to go home and be like, that was done. And then, wha-bam, they all of a sudden go, but wait a minute, there's more. And that's the thing that makes you excited to see the next movie. But 100%, the filmmakers should not be beholden to whatever that little Easter egg is. I think that's really just the hook that brings you into the next film. And I would not be surprised if that's something that, like you said, is mentioned, glossed over, and then moving on with the full story.
Chris, what do you think about all that?
Oh man, first of all, seeing the whole extended thing was wonderful because
it was great to see.
Oh, I love JK so much. I saw him pumping gas once next to me and I was such a nerd and I just stared at him and I couldn't talk and he just was like, "Hi, how are you?" And I was like, "Ah!" And then I got in my car and called my dad. It was probably one of the most uncool moments of my life. And there are a lot of those. But I loved everything about this. I don't know if you can solve all of this off screen. I really don't, because that was quite the bombshell. And also, we've talked about this in the past when we were talking about the Sony and Marvel kind of merger and disassociation, all of that, of how were we going to get Peter back with the Avengers in any way, shape, or form. And we talked about, gosh, this is a PR nightmare. The optics of having a child as part of your team, let alone a murderous child, that's not great. So I think there's so many big issues here that we have to handle on screen, because what an A-bomb to drop on the entire franchise.
Listen, I think there are hundreds of ways you could do it. And I can think of two right off the top of my head. One, again, I just explained, hey, man, thank goodness Nick Fury released that government footage that disproved it. That's it, done. Or one of the viewers wrote in and say, you know what? Just have Nick Fury get a Skrull to pose as Peter as Spider-Man flies into the shot too. They're both there at the same time. Done. It's so easy to do it.
But that's not as satisfying.
But I don't know. It's a post-credit scene.
Yeah.
Who cares?
I do.
Yeah.
It's a post-credit scene. Remember at the end of like that one Iron Man film? He's like, that just said, I'm done as Iron Man. They've taken the arc reactor out. What do we see next? A few months later, opening of Avengers, Age of Ultron. There he is as Iron Man. No explanation. Didn't talk about it. They just gloss over it. It didn't really matter. Listen,
we're talking about this scene and it was extended, so I think it does matter. I think
the post-credit scene is there to be a fun little addition. It's not meant to set an imperative of where your narrative for the next movie has to go. It can be a reflection of it, but I just don't think that's what they're going to do.
I look at it
it's
as
very
a teaser, as a like, hey, guess what? There's going to be more.
Yeah, because again, you do what the viewer said yesterday. The viewer wrote in and said yesterday, this is solved in 2 minutes. Skrull shows up as Peter Parker somewhere as Spider-Man's fighting some villain, and you can see them both at the same time. And Nick Fury released footage showing that Mysterio was lying. Oh, and by the way, the interdimensional hero, all it's going to take is somebody going, actually, I've got a file here. This guy was an employee at Stark Industries. He was lying. That's all it's going to take.
Right.
That's all it's going to take. And you can move past it. But I acknowledge, Chris, there is still a very viable possibility here they could do it. No, you can't. I'm not trying to yuck on your
But
yum,
here's
as you would
what's
say.
also
But
great
they can
about it
do
is that you
No, but
have
that all makes
is
sense.
that they have the option of going with that.
Oh,
if,
exactly.
if the viewers go, oh my God, this is an incredible way for the movie to go, and we really like this, and this is then all of a sudden the writers can go, okay, well, we're going to explore this more and make this more of the basis of our next film.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, what do you think they're going to do about that? Jump on down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down out of the way, let's move on to our second main topic today. Chris, what is our second main topic today?
This one's from Geeky Gator. Hey, John and crew. So it seems Netflix is playing around with the idea of having the option to change a movie or show's playback speed. Personally, I think this ruins the vision intended for the film by messing with the pacing of a scene. I hope they don't add this feature. What do you think of this? Well, what do you think of this feature, and would you use it?
Okay, so for those of you who haven't seen about this, if any of you guys listen to podcasts, most podcast players, hell, even Audible, if you're listening to an audiobook, they'll give you an option to listen at 0.5 times faster, or 1.5 times speed, or 2 times speed, or whatever to speed, so you can get through the book faster or get through the podcast faster, but not so fast that you can't understand what's being said. So I can't believe how big of an issue this has become. Because I first heard about this, I thought, okay, it's interesting. But then I heard a lot of people get very upset about this. And a lot of filmmakers, so Netflix is looking at introducing that as a possibility. Because, hey, a lot of people binge watch entire shows. Wouldn't it be neat if you can get through them a little faster if that's what you wanted to do? So there are a number of people, including filmmakers, coming up and who are very upset by this and saying this is criminal. My response to that is, what the hell business is it of yours what somebody else wants to do with their viewing experience? How is it any of your business? Me personally, will I put a movie on 2 times speed? No, I like my movies the way 9 times out of 10, I don't even do that with my audio podcasts or my audio books either. Unless I'm like on a drive to Vegas and I'm getting through an audiobook and I'm like, ooh, I can get through the whole book in this 5.5 hour drive. If I put it to 1.5 speed, then maybe. But most of the time I don't do it. But giving somebody the option to watch something on their own, which is not making you watch it at that speed, which is not making your mother watch it at that speed, it's their choice how they want to watch it. And if they want to watch it at that speed, this reminds me a lot about the whole hubbub that started going around, like back when it was started to become practical that you could watch a movie on your tablet or you could watch a movie on your phone. And I remember a lot of people that thought, no, you shouldn't be able to do that. That's not how it's intended to be watched. And I get it, that's true, but why do you care what somebody else chooses to do with their viewing habit? If they want to watch it that way, let them watch it that way. So is it something I myself am going to take advantage of? No, that's not for me. I like watching it the way I watch it. I believe it would impact and affect my personal viewing experience. So I choose not to watch it that way. But I don't see why anybody else feels the right to get involved in saying, you over there, in the privacy of your own home and your viewing experience, I don't want you to be allowed to watch it like that. I don't get that. I don't get it. Why impose our will and what I want to watch on somebody else and how they want to watch it? Why do we feel the need to insert ourselves into the viewing habits of a person making their own choices for their viewing habits in their own home on their own time that has nothing to do with me? Why would I want to insert myself and say what they should or shouldn't be allowed to do? That's my feeling on it. Again, I'm with the question asker. I ain't going to take advantage of this. I'm not going to watch it like that. That's not how I want to watch my movies. But if you do, more power to you. I think you're a sick son of a bitch if you put ketchup on your eggs. But hey, that's up to you. You want to put ketchup on your eggs? God bless. Doesn't mean I have to. Anyway, that's just my thought on the whole thing. Giving somebody an option to do something does not make somebody do something. So that's how I feel about it. Aaron, I'm curious, as somebody who appears in television shows and movies and things like that, I want to get your perspective on this. What do you think?
John, I love you, but you could not be more wrong. Here's the deal. When an author writes a book, when a novelist writes a book, they're not saying you have to read this book at this pace. They understand that the human mind works differently for different people. Someone might be a slow reader, someone might be a fast reader. So likewise, when you're listening to it on Audible, it's the content of the book that really is the way that is what people are absorbing. So whether they absorb it fast or slow, it doesn't change that. However, in a film or a television show, the pacing of it is exactly the content. The pacing of a conversation is the content. If you are watching a scene and there are slow shots where you're panning across someone's face, the filmmaker's doing that for a specific purpose to achieve a specific effect. And that is, in essence, part of the storytelling. So if you're watching it at 2 times the speed, you are actually not watching it as it was intended, and you're not watching the full story. And here's why it does matter, because I'm the one that if someone doesn't understand the nuance of my performance because they're watching it at double speed and so it looks like I'm rushing through everything, then all of a sudden, Aaron Cummings is a shitty actor. Aaron Cummings doesn't have any emotion. Aaron Cummings runs the gamut of emotions from A to B, like all those sorts of things. Because I will tell you, especially in television, one of the challenging things about television is that you have to have a 60-page script in 46 minutes because you have to have time for commercials. And so I've watched scenes that I've done where I know that I've intentionally put a pause, a pregnant pause, a nuance, a moment to absorb whatever happened. And in the moment, it was really good and everybody loved it. And then when you watch it, the editors have clipped every single breath out of it. And it's just line, even as if it's an Aaron Sorkin show when it's not written as an Aaron Sorkin show. So it doesn't make sense. And it just looks rushed and muddled and the performance is lost. So for me as an actor, as a performer, yeah, I don't want someone rushing through the performance, not because I'm so precious about my performance, but because you're missing the full effect of it. And as a filmmaker, especially if someone's just gonna be fast forwarding through those shots that really establish the mood and the tone, that's part of it. You know, I think it's wrong. I don't think that you should do that. It's no different than when you go to a restaurant and they say no substitutions. The chef has prepared the dish the way that the dish will be served. And if you don't want this dish served with, asparagus, well, then I'm sorry, you should go to Burger King and have it your way there. But that's not how we're going to do it here. So I'm totally against this. I'm not interested. I'm not a fan. I will write. I will boycott. Nope. I do feel like I have a right to say, no, you're not allowed to watch that way, because the comments that the people make do affect people's careers and livelihoods. And if someone is deciding that they hate this director because they've chosen to watch that director's projects in a way that it was not intended by the director, then all of a sudden that could have that could have disastrous effects on that person's career and livelihood. So nope, not interested. Nope, I'm against it.
Let me tell you why your food analogy doesn't work. Because your food analogy is saying, on the menu it'll say no substitutions. I get that. That to me is likened unto saying, you know what? In this Wonder Woman movie, I want Superman to appear in it. That's not how we're serving it up. We made this movie without Superman. When they bring you your food, no substitutions, the chef is not allowed to tell you, on this dish that we just put in front of you, you have to eat the broccoli first, and then you can start eating the prime rib. No,
actually,
I'm going to eat it however I want.
If you go to certain sushi restaurants, they will tell you eat
certain
from left
sushi
to right.
restaurants. And here's the other thing. When people at home right now have the option, if I want to, I'm watching a movie on Netflix, if I feel like this scene's a little boring, I can fast forward through it. I can fast forward through it right now. I just boom, there. I get to do that Because it's me and I get to choose. Are we now saying we should take away fast forward and rewind options from people watching these things too? Again, I hear the arguments you're making, Aaron, and I agree with them to the extent of I think you're making a really good argument for why we shouldn't want to watch it like that. I'm not hearing a good argument considering we live in a world where people can pause fast, because director didn't intend us to be able to pause a movie and walk out and go to the bathroom and come back and unpause or fast forward through scenes, whatever.
I
but
can
we
see
have
to that point.
We do have that choice. I agree with every point you're making about why I don't think it's a good thing to do for myself, but I'm still not hearing I believe, a valid argument for saying why we should take away that option from somebody if they want to watch it that way. We disagree on this. Chris, I want to bring you into this because you're involved in the performance arts and stuff like this. Where do you come in
Chris
on this?
Carr. She's an actor.
Much like Aaron, I don't
I like
want
saying
people.
the performance arts.
I don't want people fast forwarding my stuff, but that's because I already speak so fast and so high. Only dogs would be able to hear me. It'd be very upsetting. But for my job, though, for my commentator stuff and for pulling all my own media assets, I already utilize this. When I've scrubbed footage, I fast forward through stuff all the time. I speed it up because I usually have to consume media 5 or 6 times before I post a story for you guys. And so for that end, I like fast forwarding. I do think I side more with John on this one.
What?
I guess it doesn't matter.
What
Do
is-
what you want.
Is there a weird orbit today or
Cats and
something?
dogs living together, mass hysteria. It's a crazy day. You just won
It's
me over with
Halloween.
those muscles, Mr. Campea. I don't want to argue with you. I really think it's just, it's dealer's choice. And if I sat down with somebody and first go of a show, they wanted to watch it at double time, yeah, I'm not going to sit through that. But if that's how somebody else wants to consume their media, live and let live.
You know what, to Aaron's point, though, I can relate a little bit because the John Campea Show and all the shows I've done like this before, I really do feel that your physicality is a part of your communication. I'm Italian. I'm a very much, like, I'm very, when I speak, I try to communicate my meaning or whatever with hand gestures, with my shoulders, with my face, the whole bit. And so I actually I'm not thrilled with the idea of people just listening to my show in a podcast form. That's why I don't make my shows available in podcast form, except to our Patreon supporters.
Because they get you.
Yeah, they get me already, and they're already regular viewers, and if they want to have that extra access, so be it. But I don't begrudge. There's a lot of services out there where you can just go, there are many websites you can go, oh, I want to download this YouTube video in an MP3 format. And they download it and they'll listen to it on their walks, or they'll listen to it in the gym, or they'll listen to it in their drives on the way to work. And while that's not the way I'd like them to consume it, and I won't personally make it available for them to do it, but I don't begrudge them if that's how they want to go about consuming the media I produce. So I mean, I think that speaks to your point, Aaron. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't like it that people watch my video or listen to my content in a certain way, but I don't begrudge them if that's how they choose to do it. I don't know. It's a weird thing. And I just love the fact that me, who I'm not in the performance arts, am taking kind of one point, and then you have such a different point of view as being somebody who is in the performance arts. I think that's really interesting. And I think this is going to be what I thought was a nothing issue, it actually turns out to be quite an issue for a number of people. So guys, I want to know, what do you think about this? Do you think this is something that, hey, listen, it's no problem. If Netflix just wants to give people the option, what's the problem? Are you thinking, listen, you are just enabling people to watch a movie in a way that was never intended by the storytellers in the first place? That could be a bad thing. Is that how you feel about it? I want to know what your thoughts are, guys. Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's move on to our third main topic today. Chris, what is main topic number 3?
This one's from Kenneth Camille. Hey, John, you said several times in the past that you gave it a 5% chance that Luke Skywalker can return in the flesh and blood in The Rise of Skywalker. Being that we never actually see Luke in the trailer, and the movie is less than 2 months away, do you still think there's a chance that Luke appears alive in this episode? All right, over under. Is he going to show up?
Okay, so look, we all know Mark Hamill's in this movie. Luke Skywalker will have an appearance of some sort. The question is he Force Ghost Luke, or is he actually flesh and blood Luke? Now look, I said after the end of The Last Jedi that nothing definitively in that movie said Luke is dead. Nothing ever said that. It's implied. It is implied. I give it that. Because he did the whole, oh no, I'm vanishing, just like Yoda did, just like Obi-Wan did. They did that thing too. But there were other possibilities. And I said, look, 95% chance he's dead. I believe there's a 5%, tiny. So I believe there's a 5% chance that maybe he is still alive. I will tell you what. You raise a great point in your email. Why not show Luke in the trailer? Why not? I mean, we were having a discussion about Palpatine the other day, and I really did think in the final trailer for Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, I really did think they should have showed Palpatine, and I thought they should have showed Luke. Somebody brought up a great point to me about Palpatine. What if there's something very revealing about the appearance of Palpatine? What if Palpatine's appearance in this movie isn't just as we always remembered it, but there's something else about his appearance now that would fundamentally spoil something in the movie? I went, you know what? Good point. But what if that's true of Luke as well? Because honestly, Luke Skywalker, him, Darth Vader, whatever, arguably the most popular of all the Star Wars characters of all time. Why not show him in the trailer? And I'm going to say that it has bumped my thought that maybe he could show up in this movie, flesh and blood alive, from 5% to 7%. Now, I know I know that's minuscule. I know that's tiny. But the point is, it's actually increased my thought that maybe this is a possibility. Keep in mind, even at 7%, that means I'm saying 93% chance he's just dead or ghost. But somebody else brought this up to me the other day as well, guys. Somebody said this to me. We have been speculating about what does the title Rise of Skywalker mean. I've speculated that the Skywalker is going to be the new name for the new breed of Force users. Gone is the term Jedi and whatever, and they're going to be, in honor of Luke Skywalker, they're going to be called Skywalker, the Rise of Skywalker. Some people thought it's going to be some long-lost kid that Luke had that's going to come and be the Rise of Skywalker. Somebody brought this up to me the other day, and it's a way outside chance. What if there's a little bit of Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, in here? What if the Rise of Skywalker could reference the actual bringing back of Luke Skywalker? Highly unlikely, highly unlikely. But when I saw somebody raise this theory, it at least caught my interest a little bit. Bottom line here, I've always thought there was a 5% chance. I think if he is alive, flesh and blood, it would explain why they didn't even show him in the trailer, being the most popular Star Wars character of all time, arguably. So yeah, I still think there's a chance. So you're saying there's a chance. Yes, I'm saying there's a chance. Aaron, you think there's any chance here that Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill's actually a flesh and blood Luke Skywalker, or are we just dealing with a Force ghost here?
Well, regarding the fact that he's not in the trailer, let's be real here. Is anybody really depending on the trailer to decide whether or not they're going to go see this film? You're either going to see it or you're not going to see it. You're either interested in the whole Star Wars universe or you're not. It's not like anybody's going to go, what's this Star Wars all about? I've never heard of this. Let me watch this trailer and decide if I'm going to see it. So I like the fact that Luke is not in the trailer, because there's something that's going to be revealed in the film when we see him. I don't think he's dead. I think that he's going to be alive.
Ooh,
that's just so
I like that.
I'm going to go with the 5% on that. And I think that the way that, whether it's like you said, that he's going to have something revealing about his appearance that would be too much of a spoiler if they put it in the trailer, whether it's that or it's something else. I like the fact that audiences are being rewarded with seeing something that's not revealed in the trailer, besides just the plot of the movie, the overall details. I like the idea of, if you want to see Luke, you're going to have to pay for your ticket and get your butt in a seat. I like that.
Chris, where are you at on this? Where do you think, is he alive? Is he dead? Am I getting my hopes up for nothing? What do you think?
I mean, do I want to see Luke Skywalker go up against Papa Palpatine one last time? Of course I do, but he dead. He did. And I would love to have him in there. I'm going to say 5% just because, anything is possible, and saying you're 100% certain of something is a fool's comment. I don't think that he's going to be back as a flesh and blood character, though.
And I think you're most likely right. I mean, I do. That is the vast, vast majority of the chance. I'm still holding out to that little bit of stupid hope.
Hold out hope.
Hold out hope. Hope
let
is a
go.
powerful thing. Listen, guys, question is, what do you think about that? Do you think there is even the slightest chance? Maybe you think it's actually more than a slight chance. Maybe you think it's a coin flip. Maybe you think, nope, absolutely zero. Do you think the fact that we haven't seen Luke in the trailers speaks to something? It's like, I wonder if his appearance might actually reveal something. I don't know. What do you guys think? Jump down to the comment section below and leave us your thoughts. All right. With that down, let's move on to our fourth and final main topic today. Chris, what is our fourth and final main topic today?
This is from Nick V. Hi, John. Looks like you were absolutely right when you said you don't believe that D&D are out of Star Wars just because they got busy with their Netflix deal. There have been a bunch of reports out today from the major outlets talking about how the behind-the-scenes drama and lack of freedom. How do you assess the situation now with these new reports? I mean, you called it the other day where you didn't believe it. How do you feel?
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, I'm not Nostradamus here. I think a lot of people were smart enough to figure out that there was more to this story than just, oh no, we're so busy.
Oh, no.
We weren't expecting to be so busy. That was clearly, I said, probably a part of it, but clearly not the final thing, because they had a contract. When you have a contract, you don't just get to go to the person you signed a contract like, oh no, we're so busy.
No,
oh,
Kevin
no,
Feige is busy.
Kevin Feige
is busy.
Okay, you
And
are
he's figuring out how to
occupied.
make it all work. So
Yeah, you are occupied, kid. No, you go to Bob Iger and say, oh no, we're so busy now. Bob Iger's going to say, good for you.
Yeah, figure it out.
Contract right here. Figure it out. You can't just go, oh no, now I got to go. There was more to it than that. And Variety, Deadline, The Hollywood Reporter, all of them started putting out stuff. I obviously, like everybody else in this business did, I put out a few feelers as well. And between the people I spoke to and all the stuff that we're getting from Hollywood Reporter, Variety, it wasn't just the fact that, oh no, we're so busy with Netflix. There is more to the story. According to the sources in the major trades, and what I heard as well, was that this has been brewing since August. That apparently, when they signed the Netflix deal, which was not prohibited under their existing deal with Star Wars, apparently it caught Kathleen Kennedy by surprise. And Kathleen Kennedy, from all reports, was incredibly unhappy. She wanted these guys focusing on Star Wars until Star Wars was done, or at least significantly being close to having their stuff done. And she didn't like the idea of them trying to juggle and multitask, developing multiple shows and movies for Netflix while also trying to work on her stuff at Star Wars, which she signed them to first. To that point, I would say this. I get where she's coming from. As a matter of fact, I agree with her. If I'm overseeing something as important as Star Wars, I want the people working on it to be dedicated to that until at least a significant part of the work is done. However, and you all know, I've said this ad nauseum, I am a big Kathleen Kennedy fan. If this were sports, to me, Kathleen Kennedy is a first ballot Hall of Famer in the Hollywood Hall of Fame. She's a first ballot, no questions asked. She's in the Hall of Fame. When you look at her body of work and what she's contributed to this business, she's one of the best of the best of the best. First ballot Hall of Famer, no question. But I have been critical, and just because I'm a fan of hers doesn't mean I'm not going to be critical when I think something's being done wrong, about her inability to properly vet and get on the same page with the filmmakers she has hired. And we won't walk through all of them again. We've done that a couple times in the last few days. But this situation with Benioff and Weiss just screams to that. If you didn't want them working on Netflix stuff or HBO stuff or Amazon Prime stuff or CBS stuff while they're working on Star Wars, figure that shit out before you sign the contract with them. Why was that not part of your discussions with them? Why was that not specifically put into the contract in the first place? That, hey, if you're going to sign up to be part of Star Wars, you agree that until at least, let's say, June of 2020. At least until June of 2020, you're not going to work on other things. You're going to exclusively work on Star Wars stuff until we got a big chunk of the work done on it, and then you're free. This, again, is another example of Kathleen Kennedy being completely ineffectual at doing her job as the head of the studio and properly getting aligned with the people she is bringing on board to make these films. It's yet another example of that. I agree with her that I don't want them working on 10 Netflix series while she's working on Star Wars. Then why wasn't that explored, asked about, discussed, negotiated, and put in writing before she signed her deal with them? And I'm sorry, that's a question that's got to be asked, because we have seen time and time and time again, huge Kathleen Kennedy fan here, but time and time and time and time again, something comes up that exposes the fact that she did not fully vet or explore or discuss with her potential filmmakers before going ahead, signing a deal and announcing to the world, only to time and time and time again have them depart for one reason or another. So there's that. So that was one of the things to that. The other thing that we saw was from the point of view of Benioff and Weiss, multiple reports saying they saw how toxic the Star Wars fan base can be. And we can be. And they just decided, you know what? We are not sure we want to be a part of this, especially after they got a taste of toxic fandom coming out of Game of Thrones. I get that from their perspective, okay? From their point of view, I get, plus they were going to be very busy with it, so I get all that. The other thing that gets repeated in all the major trade stories was that with Lucasfilm, with their filmmakers making their movies, they have a limited scope of freedom to making their films that actually turns out to be more limited than what they were promised when they first signed on. What has been repeated in all the sources that have come from both Variety and The Hollywood Reporter is that there are sources telling them that they sign on these filmmakers, tell them they're going to have a certain degree of freedom, only to then have all that freedom they were told. And remember, they were never promised unlimited freedom, but still, whatever amount of freedom they were told they had, constantly having their ideas shot down and not allowed and whatever and moving on. And again, to me, this points to a failure on Kathleen Kennedy's part to properly discuss and work out and hash out how much creative freedom the directors are going to have and how much they're not going to have. What parameters do they have to stay within? And then they get into it and then they renege. Lucasfilm reneges on the amount of freedom, however much that is, big or small. They renege on the amount they told them they were going to have. Again, this is a failure on the whole part of the project, where the preparation part of the project, laying the foundation. And that's where all this stuff seems to fall apart. So between the busyness, which is definitely a factor, between the upset about the fact that they're going to be working on multiple things at the same time when that should have been worked out earlier, the fear of the toxic fandom stuff and all that kind of stuff, yeah, it turned out to be more, but we all knew that. I mean, we all knew it was going to turn out to be much, much more than just that. And it's just unfortunate that it puts us in this situation. I am not calling for Kathleen Kennedy's head. I do believe she should step down as the head of Lucasfilm. I think it would be best for her. I think she can go back to being one of the best producers to ever do it in the game of Hollywood, because this doesn't seem to be her strength. On the other hand, maybe she's learned from a lot of these lessons, right? We're hearing great things coming out about The Mandalorian and how she put that all together with Favreau and Filoni and all. We're hearing good stuff there. Have heard about no drama when it comes to Star Wars Episode 9. Maybe she's learned. I mean, I don't know how to feel about this, but it was clear there was more to this story than just, oh no, we're so busy. There was way more to it than that. Anyway, Aaron, you're hearing this story. What's your first reaction to it?
Well, first of all, D&D have just as many hours in the day as Beyonce and Kevin Feige. So if Beyonce and Kevin Feige can figure out their busy schedules, D&D can do the same. That being said, this whole situation, it's kind of an analogy for dating. Or dating is an analogy for this.
I can't wait to hear this.
So a week after Tom and I started dating, I said to him, listen, I know that we weren't expecting this to happen, you know, this thing between us.
You were pregnant. Oh, okay. Sorry. Sorry.
From your mouth to God's ears. Bring it on. I said, I know that we weren't expecting this to happen. And, you have people in your stable and I have people in my stable. And I'm not expecting you to cut off your rotation, but I'm letting you know that I'm cutting off my rotation.
Can I just say I love that analogy?
I am
I got
closing.
people in my stable.
You call someone, they're not available. Okay, that's cool. You call the next one on the list. What are you doing? So I said, I'm shutting the doors to my stable because I'm going to try something that I haven't tried before, and I'm going to focus exclusively on you and getting to know you and pursuing a relationship with you because I see that this could be something serious. And if there's any point that you don't feel the same way about me, just let me know and don't waste my time, okay? Because I'm looking for something legit. So I laid the law down pretty quickly. I didn't say, you got to be my boyfriend, you got to do this. I didn't say what he had to do. I just said, this is what I'm doing. And this is where my head's at. And I think that's oftentimes in any relationship, whether it's professional or personal, romantic, whatever, you got to lay down, as you were saying, what your expectations are. And it seems to me that Kathleen Kennedy expected this to be a monogamous relationship. And she kind of just thought that that's what it was. And D&D were like, hey, this is fun. I'll call you on a Thursday, but I got Netflix over here that I'm also going to hang out with on a Saturday. And I'm going to hang out with them. And I don't really feel like I need to tell you about that because, hey, man, we're just hanging out, right? And Kathleen Kennedy's like, no, we're engaged. So
I love this analogy, by the way.
All of a sudden, there's this big thing because D&D are like, whoa, this is cool and all, but we thought that we never really wanted to get that involved. And then all of a sudden, Kathleen Kennedy's girlfriends and sorority sisters, AKA the Star Wars fandom, are like, excuse me, what the fuck are you doing? Don't mess with my girlfriend. And all of a sudden the hive has descended and they're like, whoa, what's this drama? Okay, I did not want this drama in my life. I just thought I was having a good time. I just got crowned homecoming king. I got everybody coming at me. I got lots more options today than I did 5 years ago. I'm not trying to be tied down to anything. So, you know what? This has been fun. This has been real, but it hadn't been real fun. I'm out. That's what I think happened here. So when you're entering into a relationship, the point is you really just got to say, hey, are you in it to win it? And are you being exclusive with me? Because I'm being exclusive with you. And if you're not being exclusive with me, that's cool. Just go find someone else and I'll do the same.
But have that conversation.
Have that conversation. Yeah, you got to find out and I think that it's really important because it really saves you a lot of time. I've had those conversations. When I first met with Paradigm, I said to them flat out, they were like, okay, well, this has been a great meeting. And I said, listen, here's the deal. I have met with and been passed on by every agent in this town. If you're just going to call me 2 weeks from now or have your assistant call me and say that you couldn't get everybody on board, don't waste my time. Tell me right now, do you want me or do you not want me? Because you know what? I don't want to be in bed with anybody that doesn't want to fuck me. And they were like, well, actually, yes, we want to sign you right now. And I was like, what? And then I started crying and I was like, thank you so much. Ah! So I think that you just got to lay it on the line because what do you have to lose? And especially if you're as powerful as Kathleen Kennedy is, I'm not going to call for her head either. I'm not going to say step down. All I'm saying is, Kathleen, girl, stand in your power. Say what you want and make those boys commit.
And make sure they know what you're expecting from them. Yes. And then don't be surprised later on when... And
if they still want to go screw around with little 22-year-olds wearing vagina dresses, let them do that. Because if that's what they want, then they're not interested in what you have to offer anyway.
Chris, I am dying to know about how your stable and rotation fits into this analogy as well.
My dating
how do you see
experience
this
was
whole
so
thing?
different. I'd be like, can you be my boyfriend? Do you want to get married? And here we are. Worked out nicely. So I'm really fascinated that so many of the things that I kind of dismissed actually were true. Like the whole toxic fan base thing. I just remember being like, I know people are saying that, but I mean, they just went through Game of Thrones and they're seasoned writers. I don't think that's going to be a factor ultimately. And it was. So this is why I really wish we had a tell your mom button on YouTube for everyone who says just mean, cruel things behind a keyboard. It affects people. It affects the shows you enjoy. It affects the creators you all like. So maybe, first of all of us, let's take a breath and think about before we hit those keyboards when we say nasty stuff. You can like stuff without being a dick, you know? Assholes our opinions are like assholes. Yours doesn't have to make you one. So easy. That being said, Kathleen Kennedy, who has produced so many of all of our favorite movies, needed to be a stronger, more clear-cut communicator here. And I absolutely will admit that and own up to her dropping the ball on this, because I've been a staunch defender of her. But you need to be able to do all facets of this job. And if you're dropping the ball when it comes to communicating with your creative team, then what are you doing? We got to get somebody else doing that. I'm not calling for her to step down either, but there definitely needs to be kind of a come to Jesus here.
Question here is, guys, a lot of stuff's coming out. I'm not going to be surprised if more stuff comes out about this as well. This is clearly an area of weakness there on the part. And, you know, I was talking, Harloff and I were talking about this the other day. When you have this type of chaos going on behind the scenes, it will bleed over onto the screen at some point. And it's just an interesting situation. What do you guys think about all this right now? Do you think this can be course corrected as they move forward? Are you feeling a little bit more dubious about it? How do you feel about it? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With all that down out of the way, that does it for all of our main topics. We're going to move on here to our live questions that you guys have been sending in. But before we get to our live questions, we're going to take a short break. And we're going to say goodbye right now, actually, to Aaron and Chris, who are got to run off and do other things. So first of all, Aaron, where can people find you and all of your favorite vagina dresses? That's going to be the new hashtag, I'm pretty sure.
A vagina dress is one of those dresses that you see young women wear where if they sit down, their vagina is like on their lady business is like on. I never was like a short dress person, but it's like, you know, if you bend over, we're going to see all your business. Yeah.
All right.
I did not coin that term, but I love it. Vagina dresses. They're just like. Anyway, you can find me not wearing a vagina dress at Aaron L. Cummings on Instagram and Twitter. And also, brand new, this just happened yesterday. If you want me to give a private shout a shout out to anybody, whether it's a birthday, an anniversary, a bat mitzvah, anything, or just a private message to someone saying, hey, I think you're awesome, you can go to cameo.com. That's Cameo, cameo.com/Aaron L. Cummings. But please don't ask me to send like weird like stuff.
Which you've already had.
I've already gotten one of those.
Don't be creepy, you guys.
Don't be creepy.
Chris, where can people find you?
You can find me on the internet at actor Chris Carr on both Instagram and Twitter, or you can head over to Nerdwire's page where I do essays on cartoons and all kinds of fun stuff.
And this has been great having you guys here today. And guys, so right now what we're going to do here is we're going to take a short break here as stretch the legs, rest the vocal cords, refill the drinks. So if you guys will hang with us, I'm going to be right back in just a couple of minutes. We'll see you momentarily. right, guys, and we are back. Thank you so much for your indulgence and your patience as I took a little bit of a break there to get a drink, stretch my legs. And now, guys, let's not waste any more time. Let's dive right into getting up to your live questions. Angry Irish Benjamin writes, forget it, Jake, it's Chinatown. That's from Big Trouble in Little China, yes? I think? Yes? I might be wrong, but it sounds like that's from Big Trouble in Little China. Magic K writes, Dr. Sleep disappointment. Still not explaining Overlook's 4th of July balls. Oh, kidding. I actually quite like the movie, especially like Abra and Andy. Yeah, I again was very pleasantly surprised. Well, first of all, I had some pretty good expectations going in. And I was very, very happy that the movie completely met my expectations. Very, very happy about that. That doesn't always happen. So I was thrilled about that. But one of the big surprises to me was Abra, the little girl who, Aaron mentioned her name. I can't remember her name, but she was very, very good in the movie, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. Matsiv Jada writes, can't wait to fast forward all those classics. Well, listen again, Matsiv. What's in question here is that Netflix is not going to make all the movies play faster. It's not like if you have Netflix and you want to watch a show on Netflix, you have to watch it at, 75% speed or 125% speed. It doesn't make you do it. You have the choice. It's up to you. And again, I'm still not really clear why anybody should have a right to have an opinion about how somebody else chooses to watch it in their own home, on their own time, for their own viewing experience. That just seems like, I don't know, meddling. I don't know. That's just me. I don't mind them giving people an option I'm not going to do it, but I don't mind other people having the option to do it if that's what they want to do. Okay. Luke1234 writes, in honor of it being Halloween, which horror movie icon would you prefer to be killed by? Pinhead for me. Ooh, no, not Pinhead, because Pinhead will torture you and make you, yeah, he'll make it excruciating. I think probably Jason. Because Jason will just be quick. Jason will just boop, cut off your head, done. If I had to die by one, that's the one I'm dying by. All right, Angry Irish Benjamin writes, speaking personally, I think Joker is a step back for superhero movies. I believe they're usually at their best, leaning into what makes them distinct. Here's the problem with that, Angry Irish. The reason I see it as a going forward, first of all, I think Joker proves that comic book movies aren't only working best when they do it one certain way. You can do it better. Comedies evolved, right? Comedies just used to be Three Stooges, Laurel and Hardy, like that style. That was what comedy was. But now comedy comes in many different shapes and sizes, and movies are better for it. That doesn't mean they're all good. I'm just saying the comedy genre is better for it. We're seeing the comic book genre evolving. Logan is very, very different from a standard typical comic book movie, as was The Dark Knight. And I think the more the genre can embrace a wider scope of material, I think it's better for it. So I respect your opinion. I just got to say, I disagree with you on that. I don't think every comic book movie needs to be cookie cutter and kind of made with the same basic elements. I think you need to stretch it. I think the genre needs to evolve and mature. And that doesn't mean just doing it like Joker, but it means having more diversity within the genre itself. And I think that's important personally. Angry Irish also follows up and writes, from other genre fare and conventional movies, not recreating existing movies in an appeal to respectability with those who reject them, just saying, listen, it's not about an appeal to respectability. It's about making good movies. And you may not have liked Joker, and I respect that. There are other people who don't like Joker, and that's totally cool. But you got to acknowledge a lot of people really, really do love Joker. They love that movie. It's not about making an appeal for respect. It's about making a good movie, making a different movie, making a story that resonates with people. And that's the key thing. And it's good to recognize that there are different ways to do that, different avenues to do that. And I think it's a great thing personally. All right. Frankie Rodriguez writes, as someone who doesn't love Game of Thrones, I feel it's a real shame these guys departed Star Wars. Seems like they were onto something that could have been sweet. Dude, what they were working on was going to be awesome. They were working on Old Republic stuff. They had this idea for Old Republic, the formation of the Jedi, all that kind of stuff that I think people would have lost their minds for. The guys who created the most successful popular show of all time who won 59 Emmys in their show, by far the record holder for most Emmy wins ever. The writers who the Writer Guild of America, you know, all the professional writers in Hollywood and television and movies and television, all the writers, you know who they say represents the best of the best? Benioff and Weiss. That's what the writers say. Writers say that Benioff and Weiss, they nominated them 9 different times at the Writers Guild of America. And the work that they had produced as a result has been nominated 9 times, not by just anybody, by the Writers Guild. They look at the work that those guys do and say, you guys are amongst the best. 59 Emmys. I mean, and the stuff they were in particular working on, I think could have been fabulous. I really, look, I'm not going to be bashful about this. This sucks that they're not doing this anymore. It sucks. It really does. But it is what it is. Okay. Nathan Oswald writes, John Candy would have turned 69 today. John Candy, gone way too soon. Not necessarily one of the best comedic minds of all time, but one of the best comedic performers ever. We lost him way too soon. One Flock writes, of course, good Canadian kid. One Flock writes, my comment last week was about trolling our heroes Marty and Francis by playing music from their movies and Marvel movies as a joke. Raging Bull plus Godfather music. Wasn't serious. Sorry I wasn't clear. Unfortunately, One Flock, I can't remember what your comment was at the time. I don't remember right now. We get about 60 or 70 a day roll through here, but that does sound kind of funny. That would be pretty funny to do. Timbala the Spider Monkey writes, it was Halloween in Oz last night. Is that Austin, Australia? I'm going to guess it's Australia. Last night, and I did a themed viewing party. This year, it was 3rd films. Halloween 3, which Rob loves that movie. Nightmare on Elm Street 3, and the exit. I've never even thought about that as a theme for a viewing party. Sequels or part 3s. That's actually a really cool idea. I'm not a big fan of Halloween 3, obviously. I'm also not a big fan of Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Do like Exorcist 3, oddly enough. Kind of a guilty pleasure. But what a great idea for a theme. 3rd in the franchise horror films. Great idea. I love it. All right. One Flock writes, The Rise of Skywalker and The Mandalorian are coming out in the same month. I think us Star Wars fans have lost sight of how lucky we are. We have so much to be grateful for as Star Wars fans. Hey, listen. Well, I mean, let's see. It'll be interesting to see if we still feel that way, if we think The Last Skywalker is terrible, or if we think The Mandalorian is a big disappointment. But yes, in principle, you're absolutely right. I think a lot of us are taking for granted the fact that, oh my God, we're getting The Mandalorian and The Rise of Skywalker within weeks of each other. It's amazing. And what a time. What is it Rob always says? We live in glorious times, my friend, because if these things work out to be as good as they could be, then it's a magnificent, month and a half for us Star Wars fans. It's absolutely. Captain Confidence Entertainment writes, great meeting you and Aaron last night at Dr. Sleep. Well, thanks so much, man. I appreciate that. It's funny. Whenever we go to the movies, we always have a bunch of people. It's great because that's where us film fans are. We're at the movie theater. So I get a lot of you guys come up and say hi when you see us at movie theaters. And I felt really bad for this one couple that Aaron was coming to meet me last night at the AMC Burbank 16 for the screening of Dr. Sleep. And she was actually running about 20 minutes late. And this couple come up to me, oh, we watched the show, and it was so great to meet them. They're so nice. And one of them said, did you say that Aaron was coming with you tonight too? I said, yeah, I did say on the show. And I'm expecting Aaron any minute now. So can we wait around and meet her too? I said, sure. So they stood around with me. But Aaron ran like 20 minutes late. So like 15 minutes after they said, they're like, we really want to meet Aaron, but our movie's already starting. We got to go. I'm like, go. I'll tell Aaron that you were here and said hi. But anyway, yes, thank you for coming up last night, Captain Confidence, and saying hi. I appreciate that, dude. All right, Abdullah Khalid writes, over under 35%. The new Terminator is profitable, especially with a $186 million budget. Also, thanks for all the hard work. Watching you for 6 years now. Crazy. Under 35%. And I like this Terminator movie. I like it. It is the best Terminator since Terminator 2. Again, that's not a very high standard. It is not a great movie. But I had fun with it. I enjoyed this film. I'm probably going to go back to watch it at least one more time. They did a lot of things right. There were I think they had a few missteps in the film, but overall I thought it was quite enjoyable. But no, I mean, it's just the reputation of Terminator films is just so low and so bad. There's a lot of people who aren't even going to give this movie a shot. That's the reality. There's going to be a lot of people who will not even give this movie a chance. And I get it. And it's understandable. They've been let down a lot by Terminator films in the past. KJ Criddle writes, crossing my fingers for a Kyle Rayner Green Lantern show. Kyle Rayner is, I think, the most overlooked of the Green Lanterns. Now, you've got Stewart, you've got Guy Gardner, Kyle Rayner. Obviously, there's the main one, but Kyle Rayner, I think, is one of the more interesting Green Lanterns. And it's funny that when conversations about, who Green Lantern should be, they mention this guy and which Green Lantern should they cover. And always the conversations go, well, it could be this guy, it could be this guy, it could be Gardner, but very rarely is Kyle Rayner brought up. So I don't think you're going to see that. I don't think we're going to see Kyle Rayner Green Lantern. But if they ever did announce it, I'd be down for it. I'd be down to at least see it. As I would be about all the other ones as well. I think there's a lot of good stories to tell with a lot of the Green Lanterns, but to me, there is only one real Green Lantern. And that's the thing that comes up a lot. When you have characters, that have multiple different personas, like the characters themselves have different personas, you get into these discussions. We even see that with Batman and Batman Beyond. Like, people think it should be Batman Beyond. But, like, to me, the true quintessential Green Lantern is clearly Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan is the quintessential Green Lantern. And I think if you're going to make a Green Lantern movie, you make it about Hal Jordan. But I'd be open for them exploring Guy Gardner, Rayner, Stewart. I think there's a lot of possibilities there as well. But for me, when I think Green Lantern, I think Hal Jordan. All right, Anthony Lukulanu writes, I don't know if you will remember, but last week I mentioned, by the way, it's a really big super chat, Anthony. Thank you so much for supporting the channel on that level, dude. I don't know if you remember, but last week I mentioned that I was going to a special screening of the last, I remember that. Last Starfighter, because that doesn't come up every day. And you asked where I was seeing it. It was a small venue in Perth, Australia. God, I love that movie so much. And there's been a lot of chatter and whispering about the possibility of a reboot of Last Starfighter, which I am all for. I am 100% on board with that idea. Absolutely. I think there's a lot of very good things you could do with the Last Starfighter reboot, and I would personally be totally down for it. I'd be totally down for that. Absolutely, I would be. So, man, I'm envious, dude. To see The Last Starfighter on the big screen again, what an experience that would be. So I'm glad you had that experience, man. Anthony also writes, also for Halloween today, I bought The Descent. Love it. Prince of Darkness and Monster Squad on Blu-ray. The Descent is actually my favorite horror film of the past 15 years. And not a lot of people mention The Descent when talking about favorite horror films. The Descent is my all-time number 2 favorite horror film, and it's my favorite one in the last 15 years. Obviously, my favorite horror film, which I've said many times, my favorite horror film of all time is American Werewolf in London, not to be confused with the very inferior American Werewolf in Paris, but love The Descent. Love The Descent. I even like The Descent too, not as much, but yeah, that Descent, man, that's right up there for me. Anthony also writes, got to go to an early screening of Dr. Sleep on Monday with a friend of mine. I really liked the movie. Dude, I really liked it too. Not in my top 5 of the year, but a definite candidate to maybe be in my top 10 by the end of the year. Might be in the top 10 by the end of the year. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I'm glad you did too. All right, Dude Man writes, Rob Walking Dead with the Whisperers is what has breathed new life into the show this new season. 3 episodes in is great, but no one's watching, which is crazy because Alpha and Beta are so interesting. I have no idea what you're talking about, dude, man. I mean, clearly we're talking about Walking Dead in the new season, but since I'm not watching it, I don't know what Alpha and Beta and Whisperers are and all this kind of stuff. You're right. A lot of people have kind of ditched on it. And by the way, guys, I apologize in advance. I'm going to pop in a Halls because my throat's starting to give out here. I'm still wrestling, of course. And I warned you guys, I'm going to be wrestling with this congestion for another probably 3 weeks. And that's my pattern. So I know it's irritating to have somebody talking to you that has a candy in their mouth, but I got to do the Halls thing. So forgive me as we go. Just going to give you that heads up in advance. Look, I actually have not started watching, and I'm probably not going to watch this season. I watched it. I didn't see last season here. I watched Walking Dead up until the end of the Negan, like when they captured Negan. That was the season that ended with them capturing Negan and having him in that cage. To me, it was like, yeah, okay, now I'm done. And I love the Negan character. And I loved all that, but I just felt like for me, by that point, I was like, yep, I'm done now. I think a lot of other people have. But again, it's going to be interesting because we talked about this on the show yesterday, that they've got the Rick. Where you going, Rick? We got the Rick Grimes movie coming. It's going to be really interesting to see how people respond to that. We'll see how that turns out. All right. Dude Man also writes, also, John, Dying Light is a zombie game I recommend. Open world game on a PC, really cheap. Same company. Ooh, same company as Dead Island game. The zombie killing is awesome. You know what? Hold on a second. I'm going to go over here right now. Give me a moment. As soon as I type in Dying Light, there's an advertisement that comes up for Dying Light 2. Hey, it's GameStop gives it 5 out of 5. Steam gives it 9 out of 10. All right, you got me. I'm gonna give this game a shot. Dude Man also writes, forgot to mention the game is Parkour Zombies. Okay, that's a new twist on it. I'm in. Matt Sivjata writes, wish films open same day everywhere because spoilers. I agree. I've said for a long time that I advocate for a global release date for piracy. I believe one of the causes of piracy is that there are some countries that have to wait months before a movie comes out there. And I think that one of the best ways to fight piracy is just by having a global release date. But there are marketing issues to come into play. Just because it's the best time to open it in one country doesn't necessarily mean it's the best time to open in another country. But so I understand there are problems. I mean, I'm all for it too, but I understand there are problems. All right, Michael Jones sends in a really big super chat. Thank you, Michael, for supporting the channel on that level, dude. I appreciate that. Watching the John Campea Show from yesterday, and I just like to say, if reincarnation exists, I want to come back as Aaron's dog. By the way, how adorable is Joey? For those of you who didn't see yesterday's show, Aaron was supposed to have Joey here again today. I'm very upset that she didn't bring Joey today. But her dog, Joey, is just wonderful. I love that little dog so much. And it is really great. So I'll pass that along to Aaron, Michael. All right. Anthony Luculanu writes, it's kind of funny how both The Descent and The Cave came out in the same year, 2005. Similar-ish plots. Indeed. And it just goes to show it's all about execution. I didn't like The Cave. But John, how can you like The Descent? It's kind of, they got the same, yeah, I understand it's got a lot of the same kind of elements and whatever, but it's all about execution. One movie was executed brilliantly. One movie was not, in my opinion. I'm sure The Cave has a lot of fans and that's awesome. No disrespect. That's my personal opinion. But it just a really good example, Anthony, about how, you know, you can have movies that have similar themes, maybe even some similarities in their plot layouts and all that kind of stuff, but it's all about execution. And I think that's a great example of that. All right. Michael Bradley writes, hello, John. Unfortunately, I just saw Star Wars Holiday, the holiday special. It was a special kind of terrible that makes Inhumans look like a masterpiece theater. It's not even a fun, terrible movie. No, seriously. Everybody has heard of the urban legend of the Star Wars Christmas special. Not everybody has actually beheld the true horror and awfulness of the Star Wars holiday special. It is a special kind of incompetence and a special kind of awful that is hard to put into words just how bad it is. Boba. Anyway, Life Day. It's so incredibly bad. I can't even encourage you guys to go watch it if you haven't seen it. Like sometimes if there's something really terrible, I say, guys, you got to check it out just to see how. I can't even tell people to do that. It's so awful. how that got made and televised is completely beyond me. It was so utterly awful. I feel bad, Michael, that you had to sit through it. All right, Lee Mallinson writes, have you seen Best of the Best Part 2? It's pretty good. Yes, I have. What was the name of the big villain? Wasn't the name of the big villain Braxis or something like that? I think the big bad guy was Braxis. Hold a second. Let me look it up. Best of the Best 2. As I wait for it to load. And of course you had Las Vegas's Wayne Newton. Wayne Newton, so what was the name of this guy? So obviously all the guys came back. And it was Brackus. Not Braxis. Brackus. Played by Ralph Moeller, who has appeared in such films. He was the guy. He was one of the gladiator slaves in Gladiator. He was the one who says to Russell Crowe, Germania. He was the big German dude. He was in that as well. He was in Universal Soldier and Cyborg and Scorpion King, but he was Brackus, the villain in that one. Yes, not nearly as good as Best of the Best 1, but I did enjoy it. All right. Will Yang writes, speaking of The Descent, have you seen both endings for the movie? I did. Yes, I did. So which version do you prefer? Happy Halloween. I like the theatrical one, to be honest with you. I prefer the theatrical version. I understood the second one. I did, but I did something for me personally. And you'd have to go and watch both of them to figure out what works for you. But the way the theatrical one ended for me didn't just work, but it was more, I found it as an audience member more satisfying. You know what I mean? I just found that more satisfying as a viewer. So good question. But yeah, I like the original theatrical release. All right. Ryan Lohner writes, damn it, Mohinder, when will you learn not to mess around with superpowers? So yeah, so the actor who played Mohinder, and I haven't seen the newest episode of Flash. I assume there's a new one out. I haven't seen the newest one, but the actor who played Mohinder in Heroes is also this season's villain for Flash, which is great. I love seeing him on screen again. I think, damn, I can't remember the actor's name, but he's got a really good screen presence. I really like him. I think he's got a really good screen presence. So I got to make sure I get caught up there. All right. Timothy Platt writes, I'm convinced the sports gods are finally rewarding us DC fans for being diehard fans of a football team with the worst owner in the history of sports. Yeah, man, the Redskins, it is tough. And not only that, you guys finally got, I believe, a very underrated quarterback in Alex Smith. I think Alex Smith is tremendously underrated. You guys finally get an Alex Smith and his leg snaps like a twig. And I feel like for the Redskins, everything that can go wrong does go wrong. It's really unfortunate. But again, they won the World Series yesterday. Great drama. Good. They were down 3-2, stormed back, won. Every single game was won by the road team. Absolutely incredible. Never happened before. That's never happened before in professional sports. In a finals, where every game was won by the road team. It's never happened before. Just absolutely crazy. So congrats to all my Washington, D.C. sports fans. Jared Oberfeld writes, Part 1. Boys and girls of every age, wouldn't you like to see something strange? Come with us and you will see this, our town of Halloween. Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas. I am actually in the minority. I'm not a big fan of The Nightmare Before Christmas. I'll be honest, I've never understood the appeal of it. Do not get me wrong. I don't think it's trash. I don't think it's a terrible movie, not at all, but I've just never thought it was all that great. But I'm telling you what, dude, in many circles, this movie is revered. I've never understood that much appeal to it. I thought it's okay. It's not bad. It's just, I don't see anything special about it. But for some people, dude, listen, seriously, watching The Nightmare Before Christmas becomes a staple between October and December for people. I know a number of people who between October and December have to watch that movie. You know? And I just don't get the appeal personally, but hey, that's just me. All right. Darklock 63 writes, one of two. I don't think those who claim that Game of Thrones dropped in quality after Benioff and Weiss could no longer adapt the novels have actually read them. Book 5 ends with Jon bleeding out in the snow. Dany has just been found by the Horde after the assassination attempt, and Arya is still with the Faceless. Last season felt rushed to me, but I still loved it. I'll tell you what, I'm unabashed at Darklock. I loved the last season of Game of Thrones. But as somebody who loved it, I 100% agree with you. I have never heard a legitimate reason given about why the final season had to be so bloody short. None. I still loved it. I did. But it should have been 3 episodes longer. It should have been 4 episodes longer. And again, I loved it. And it won the Emmy for Best Series. It set the record for most Emmy nominations by any show in a single year, with 32 Emmy nominations in 1 year. A lot of triumph for it. But even I, one of the bigger defenders and one of the people who absolutely loved the final season of Game of Thrones, even I gotta say, you have never given me a valid reason why it had to be that damn short. Because it did make certain elements feel very rushed. I think there are certain things that I loved, but I think a lot more people would love too if you had given it an extra 2 or 3 hours to flesh those out. For me, it worked anyway, but I think they would have worked for a lot more people. There was just no excuse. None. At the end of the day, the thing I will be most critical of Benioff and Weiss for is going to be the fact that they made the decision, not HBO. Pardon me. They made the decision, the terrible decision, to make those last 2 seasons so short. Other than that, I loved it, but I thought that was a big problem. Big problem as well, Darklock. All right. Slim Trav writes, you see Kevin Hart Halloween costume as The Rock? No, I have not seen that, but I'm going to have to go. That's today's theme. I've got Charlie Cox and Tom Hiddleston dressing up as Daredevil and Loki, each other's characters. That sounds like it'd be pretty fun too. I got to go find that picture. I've not seen it, Slim, but I'm going to have to go find that picture. All right. Here for Chris Carr writes, prediction. Just as Ferrari is about to win, Ferrari stops when it's revealed that Enzo Ferrari and Henry Ford mother share the first name. Never gets old to go back to the old Batman versus Superman Martha joke. Wait, by the way, in case you haven't heard me talk about this, I actually made a video called Defending the Martha Scene in Batman versus Superman. If you go to YouTube, and I don't know this for 100% for certain if it's still there, but if you go to YouTube, let me just go there quickly here. Going over to YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and do a quick search for Defending the Martha Scene. Yep, my video is the very first one that'll come up. I actually made a video 3 years ago defending that scene and why I think most people misinterpreted the scene, although that is Zack Snyder's fault for not properly communicating the scene. So I put the blame on him, not on the audience, but still, I made a video defending that scene, and if you're interested in it, you can go and check that out. All right. Zaya writes, would you consider doing an end of the decade like Filthies, where you award the best of the decade from 2010 to 2019? Huh. Yeah. Yeah, I hadn't really thought of that, Zaya, but yeah, I will take that in consideration. That's not a bad idea. I think I might do that. Ali Hussein writes, hey, John, love the show. Thank you so much, Ali. There are no Star Wars movies planned at the moment that we know of. Do you think the doing same thing as Star Trek focus on live TV shows instead? No. Alan Horn and Bob Iger know the big money gets made on the big screen. Your television stuff, because honestly, if they weren't still putting out Marvel movies to support the Marvel Disney Plus shows, you need one goes with the other. One goes with the other. So no, they're not going to just focus on TV. They're not going to just focus on TV. They are going to bring in movies. We're going to hear new announcements pretty quick, I'm pretty sure. I think before summer, we're going to hear about a new layout of movies that are coming. So they will get back on the movie train. And again, Let's be clear. There's no movies planned that we know of right now. There could be a lot more coming. Okay. Dan Rourke writes, does it seem like Star Wars fans like Hayden Christensen a lot more than they used to? Absolutely they do. Also, I believe the prequels should have started with episode 2. I believe the prequels never should have been made. But besides that, here's one of the great things. Listen, I am amongst the most critical people of the prequels. But just because I don't like, and I believe more of us should be this way, just because I don't like how those movies turned out, does not mean we should start personally attacking the people involved with them. The people involved with them got involved and did the best they could, right? And Hayden Christensen, good Canadian kid, by the way, he took a lot of crap. And I remember being at Star Wars Celebration Orlando, and Hayden Christensen was there, and he came out on stage. It was, I think, my favorite moment of that event was hearing the ovation that the audience gave him. I think that was great. And I just do not like this habit that modern toxic fandom has, that once we don't like a movie or a TV show, we start attacking people personally. And I don't see there being any need for that. I don't like the prequels. Doesn't mean I start attacking George Lucas. Doesn't mean I start attacking Ahmed Best or Natalie Portman or Hayden Christensen or Ewan McGregor or whatever. I didn't like the movies. Okay, didn't like the movies. Let's move on. If it comes up again, somebody asks me, did I like those movies? No, I hated those movies. I got nothing bad to say, though, about, hey, maybe I loved or didn't love Hayden Christensen's performance or whatever, but that's irrelevant. I'm not going to hop on Twitter and start hate bombing Hayden. Anyway, it's really nice to see the Star Wars fandom, even those who did not like the prequels, re-embrace people like that, who all they did was come onto a movie that they didn't write the script for and they didn't and just did their best. That's all they did. Whether we liked the outcome or not, all these people did was they got plugged in, got involved, and did their best. Maybe we liked what they did. Maybe we didn't. But at the end of the day, they're just individual people who got involved and wanted to do something great and tried their best. We can at least respect that, can't we? Like, I hate the movie Assassin's Creed. It was a terrible movie. But you don't hear us dogging on the director of the movie. Like, maybe they did a good job, maybe they didn't. But all that dude did was he got plugged into that movie, wanted to do something great with it, and tried his best. Can't we at least respect that? Whether we like the outcome or not is kind of irrelevant. Look, dude got plugged in, tried his best. I may have liked it, I may have not. But I can at least respect he got plugged in there and did his best. No need to just dog on him and attack him and get on social media, bomb them and drive them off Twitter and whatever, which is what a lot of toxic fandom does. But I think it's great that, I think you're absolutely right. And I think it's great that people are more embracing Hayden Christensen. All right. Alan Valley writes, just saw Parasite. Love that movie. It's my second favorite movie of the year right now and was blown away by it. Have you ever seen a film that literally changed genre in the middle of the film like that before? Oh, yes. One of my biggest surprise movies, I believe it was last year, 2018, was the movie A Simple Favor with Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick. That movie, first of all, is just a joy to watch. I love that movie. It changes genres like every 30 minutes. That was one of the things I was most impressed by and blown away by when I watched it, was it felt like every 30 minutes this movie changed genre. Or maybe almost every 25 minutes the movie changed genre. And I ate it up. I loved it. So yes, I have seen something like that before, but it was very coolly applied in Parasite as well. Again, right now, Parasite is my second favorite movie of the year. All right. Kevin Newman just sends in a super chat. Thank you, Kevin. Householder Films writes, favorite Halloween movie. Personally, mine is Tom Burton's Sleepy Hollow. Halloween specific? I don't know. I don't know if I can think of any off the top of my head. If we're not just talking generic horror films, I guess I'd have to go with the newest Jamie Lee Curtis Halloween movie, the newest one. I don't like any other Halloween film, but I like that Halloween film quite a bit. So I'll go with that one for now. All right. Matthew Melagano writes, Happy Halloween. Thank you so much, Matthew. Of course, I believe it's tomorrow, right? No, today's Halloween. Totally right. Today is Halloween. That's right. Happy Halloween to you guys too. Have a lot of fun tonight. Robert Perez writes, Happy Halloween, John and crew. Thank you so much, Robert. Robert also writes, Erin, you're awesome. She is awesome. I love that lady. And Robert also writes, Chris, you are awesome. Happy Halloween. I'll make sure they see that, guys. Jump Top writes, Happy Halloween, John and gang. Thank you so much. May you all have a wonderful, fun time tonight as well. Joel Morford writes, John, what is your favorite Canadian beer? I am very odd. For Canadian, I'm very odd. I don't drink beer. I basically don't drink at all. I'm not a fan of alcohol. Not on any moral principle. I just have never liked the taste of alcohol. Whenever, like, Anne, we'll be out and Anne will have a drink. She said, John, try this. I think you'll like it. And I sip it. I'm like, bleh. I hate alcohol. I hate the taste of alcohol. I can't stand it. And beer to me tastes like piss. John, how do you know what piss tastes like? Fair enough. Good point. But I do not like the taste of beer. If I had to say, probably Blue. Labatt Blue was probably my favorite. Over Molson, and there was a Hamilton-based beer actually called Steeltown beer. But anyway, I'm going to go with Labatt Blue. That's the one I'll go with. All right. Nosferatu writes, and you wanted to be my latex salesman? I don't know what that's a reference to. You got me on that one. Min Tran writes, John, how's the Fandango early screening count towards the box office? I guess it counts towards the opening Friday. No, it does not. It goes towards advanced screenings like that Fandango, pardon me, special thing simply counts towards the overall box office. It does not count towards opening weekend at all. Just so you know, it does not count towards opening weekend. Only the money that it makes on opening weekend counts towards its opening weekend totals. Josh A. writes, Stargate Sg-1 was my Star Trek as a kid. I loved the show. I really did. Funny, insightful action. Franchise went quiet during MGM's bankruptcy. Wish they could figure out how to reboot it. Listen, don't be surprised if in the next, I'm guessing within the next 2 years. And remember, correct me if I'm wrong, but did they not launch some Stargate channel? Like, was there not a dedicated Stargate streaming channel that had all the Stargate stuff plus a new show that they did just for the streaming channel? Wasn't that a thing like a couple years ago? Is that still around? I don't even know. Anyway, I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 2 to 3 years we get an announcement about a major Stargate reboot, like a major one. I wouldn't be surprised by that at all, because there's a lot of material there, a lot of good underlying mythology and everything. I think there's a lot of stuff there that they could do. All right, Samuel Phoenix writes, I saw the Grudge trailer and it looks awesome. Trailer looks good. This is a reboot of the reboot. Because remember, the Grudge, or Ju-On, is what it's called. The original title of the original Grudge is Ju-On. Is simply one of the most terrifying, the original Asian version, is simply one of the most terrifying movies you'll ever see. The Grudge North American version was okay. They're taking another crack at it, but I don't know if the movie's going to be any good, but you're right. The trailer looks pretty solid. All right. Shane Freeman writes, rewatched Rogue One. I feel it's very underrated despite great reviews. You think it's overlooked. Also, Squint during Tarkin doesn't look as CGI. I love Rogue One. Absolutely love it. It is my second favorite of the new Star Wars films. My first favorite is still The Force Awakens, but actually Rogue One is my second favorite of all the new films. And I've liked all the new films, but Rogue One is my second. I adore that movie. A lot of people say, yeah, the first half's okay, but I love the second half. I'm actually the other way. I actually prefer the first half of the film over I love the second half too, but I actually prefer the first half even more. I love that movie. I agree. I believe it is underrated. I do believe it's underrated. Meat Puppet 007, nice name, writes, John, have you heard about Verizon offering Disney Plus free for 1 year to their subscribers who have certain plans? Also, do Chris and Aaron have anything coming up that we can watch? Keep up the good work. Well, actually, we've talked about that Verizon plan on this show, which I'm very excited about because I'm a Verizon customer. Aaron is on a number of episodes of her new show, All Rise on CBS. If you go back and watch, she's on the pilot episode. They've only put out 3 or 4 episodes so far. She's in a couple of them. Also, she's going to be appearing in Dynasty. She just got back from Atlanta where she was shooting for 3.5 weeks during her stuff for Dynasty. And then she's going to be in the final season, only 1 episode, but she's going to be a significant character in the final season of Lucifer. So you're going to be catching there. And as far as Chris goes, you can catch stuff from her almost daily over at Nerdwire, the YouTube channel Nerdwire. That's her main job. So you can go and see stuff from her over there. So thank you for asking, Meat Puppet. The author writes, October 31st, 1992, X-Men animated premiere. Really? Anyway, love that music. Loved that show, but really, 92. So that was 27 years ago. Holy crap. 27 years ago. All right. Laugh Warehouse writes, over under 25%, we will get a re-release of Star Wars Episode 9. I'm going to go under 25% of that. At least as far as the new trend this year of re-releasing it when it's only been in theaters for like 8 weeks. It might re-release it a year later, but I'll go under 25% with that. I'll go under that. All right. Marie Seafring writes, I'm looking forward to Jumanji The Next Level. The new trailer looks more like more of the things I really enjoyed in Welcome to the Jungle, plus some new. I completely agree, Marie. Absolutely. This one felt much more like Jumanji, the way it was established with the Dwayne Johnson first movie. It felt like I was more at home. The humor was sharper. They gave you some of the action, because that's one of the things we don't talk about the first Jumanji movie enough. The action in it's really fun. We focus more on the, these actors playing these kid counterparts, and it's funny, and that's all true. But I feel like a lot of us don't talk about the action, and so you incorporate that now into the new trailer and everything, and I am 100% in agreement with you, Marie. It does feel a lot better that way. Jose Ramirez writes, Anakin Skywalker versus Papa Palpatine. Yeah, I think people would rather see Luke. I think people would much rather see Luke. But hey, I'm not going to sit here and say it's impossible, because it ain't impossible. It's theoretically, they could go that way. The Darman writes, Feige has started the post-credit scenes set up as Peter Parker story that has never been told before. It'll be significant, time jump or not. Maybe, maybe not. It doesn't really matter. I mean, just because they did that, it means nothing. We have seen Kevin Feige have post-credit scenes that never went anywhere or meant anything later on, right? That's happened before with the same Kevin Feige. So, and again, do not misquote me. I am not saying the next Spider-Man movie will have nothing to do with that post-credit scene. I'm simply saying I'm leaning towards the belief that they're going to just say it got addressed off camera. Woo! Thanks for sending that scroll to appear to be me, Peter Parker, while the real Peter Parker, was swinging around doing battle as Spider-Man in the same place, so everybody could see that the J. Jonah story was totally false. It's just that easy. It's just that solves the whole thing. That solves everything. And I still think there's a good chance they're going to do it that way. But we'll see. We'll see. They definitely could make it the main theme. They could. I just think they're going to go the other way. All right. Darth Impact writes, in last shot of episode 9 trailer, Rey has lightsaber lit, about to take on Palpatine, but Luke appears, steps in, then Palp and Luke have epic battle. Maybe. And by the way, I said, wow, we didn't see Palpatine in that trailer. And everybody says, yes, John, we saw Palpatine. And they show the shot. But all you see is a black cloak. That could be Palpatine. Theoretically, it could be. But we don't know that. For all we know, that was Dark Rey. For all we know, that shot where we see from behind the chair and we just see the edge of the black cloak, that could be the Rey we saw with the double-bladed red lightsaber. It could be. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying it could be. So, yeah, don't say, yeah, we saw Palpatine. We don't know that was Palpatine. It might be Palpatine, but we simply don't know. We'll have to wait and see. All right. Sorry, I had a bit of a jump there. Marie, Darth Impact. Okay, here we are. Keith Franklin writes, what about Hollywood Reporter report that Benioff and Weiss didn't want to deal with toxic Star Wars fans after the experience they had with the Game of Thrones? Well, we talked about that a little bit earlier. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them. They have, you know, toxic fandom has become a real problem. Like, it's no longer like, if you like a movie, great. If you don't, then now we vilify anybody involved with what we didn't like. And by the way, what they did was fantastic, but that's a matter of opinion. And yeah, they have seen a lot of it firsthand, unfortunately. And they've seen from a distance that the toxic fandom is scaring some really high-profile filmmakers off of even wanting to consider doing a Star Wars film. Like Christopher McQuarrie himself, who's made some absolutely awesome stuff the last few years. Like, he was basically, no thanks. No, I see what the fandom does in those things. I want nothing to do with it. So the toxic fan, and remember, toxic fandom is not addressing people who simply don't like the movies. That's the majority. There's nothing wrong with that. Just because, like, I hate the prequels, that doesn't mean I'm a toxic fan. There are people who hate The Last Jedi. That doesn't automatically make them toxic fans, but it's then that goes to the next level. It's when it gets taken to the next level. And we see now, we're seeing more and more filmmakers going, yeah, we don't want to have anything to do with that. That's scary. We've never really seen that in fandom before. And I don't know. It just feels like we're wrecking our own shop. And it's unfortunate. But yeah, I get where they're coming from with that. But again, Lucasfilm has to have a hand in that too, because it doesn't matter if Benioff and Weiss just didn't want to get involved with toxic fandom. They had a contract. And if Lucasfilm just said, well, tough that you're busy and you don't like the toxic fan. It doesn't matter. You got a contract. You can't just leave. So clearly Lucasfilm had to have a hand in it as well to say, yep, go ahead and you go. And we talked about all that a little bit earlier. Josh A. writes, U.S. actor M8 just spent 2 hours mad about losing role in to Aussie actor, AU actor FFS. Most of us do 3 years on soap operas just to get a visa. Experience, talent trumps entitlement. U.S. actor M8 just spent 2 hours mad about losing role. I'm not really clear on what it is we're talking about, Josh. Not really clear what it is. I apologize about that. I'm not really clear on what we're saying there. So if I try to address it, I'd just probably be addressing the wrong thing. Apologies, man. Apologies. Sedek 13 writes, new Witcher trailer out with release date December 12th. Oh, there's a new Witcher trailer? Must have dropped as we were doing the show. I'm very excited about Witcher trailer because I love Henry Cavill. Okay, I'm going to have to go and watch that. I'm going to do that as soon as the show's over. James Ward writes, dude, I never knew you played hockey until the other day. I'm Canadian. Just assume. If you hear somebody's Canadian, just assume that until you hear otherwise at some point that they played hockey. What position did you play? Go Blues. I played my first half of my life that I played hockey. I played right defense. And then the second half of my life playing hockey, I moved up to right wing. Honestly, my favorite position was defense. I loved playing defense. And because it's not like football, like defense in hockey needs to be a very creative position. That's why some of the greatest hockey players of all time were defense players, whether you're talking about Ray Bourque or Denny Potvin or Larry Robinson or Paul Coffey. So Coffey was a wizard. On and on. Boreas Salming, things like that. Boreas Salming, shut up. I'm a Leafs fan. Some of the truly greatest players ever were there's a lot you get to do when you're playing on the blue line, man. Lots you get to do. So that was my favorite position. Madison Blake writes, I know everyone has speculated on whether Anakin Skywalker, Hayden Christensen, will be in The Rise of Skywalker, but do you think he should be in the film? Well, here's the thing, Madison. I don't know what the story calls for. I haven't read the script. So, in a vacuum, no, I don't think they should bring Anakin Skywalker into the movie. But I haven't read the script. And once I see the movie and if I was reading the script, maybe I would go, man, this story, the direction this story is going in, it really needs Anakin Skywalker to pop up in it. But since I don't know that, I can't say. So what I will say is, in a total vacuum, all other things being equal and knowing nothing else, in principle, I'll say no, he shouldn't be in it. But that opinion goes right out the window once we actually start to see what the story is. And maybe I'll start watching the story or reading the story and going, oh yeah, they definitely shouldn't have Anakin in this. Or maybe it'll totally change my mind. But in a vacuum and in the absence of any other information, I'll say no. All right. CMJ World writes, I know you said that you wouldn't be a producer, or that you would... I know you said that you would be a producer rather than a director. So my question is, what actors and directors would you love to work with? Oh, dude, there's hundreds. I mean, there's my favorite actor of all time. Well, at least my favorite actor right now, and has been for the past 10 years, is Russell Crowe. I love Russell Crowe as an actor. Steven Spielberg is the greatest filmmaker of all time. I'd love to work with him, obviously. Daniel Day-Lewis is the greatest actor of all time, forever and ever. He is the ultimate GOAT. No one comes close. Daniel Day-Lewis is the greatest actor of all time. So obviously that. Meryl Streep, Denzel Washington. I mean, yeah, but listen, all you're going to get from me is the standard answers you're going to get from everybody. I'd love to work with Tarantino. I'd love to work with Christopher Nolan. I'd love to work with Peter Jackson. I'd love to work with Steven Spielberg. I'd love to work with Martin Scorsese. I mean, the only thing I would say is the thing everybody else would say it too. But God, wouldn't it be something if someday I had the privilege of doing any of those things? I never will. But oh my God, how cool would that be, CMJ? How cool would that be? All right. A3 writes, seems unpopular, but I'm in Kathleen Kennedy's corner, especially with all these projects coming. I'm sure we disagree, but I care more about the final product than any behind the scenes drama, which I acknowledge exists. And I agree, A3, I do. But as it is in movies, as it is in sports, behind the scenes chaos eventually bleeds into on the field product. Or in this case, on the screen product. I have liked all of the Star Wars movies that have come out under Kathleen Kennedy. I particularly love The Force Awakens and Rogue One. I quite like Solo. I quite like The Last Jedi. I have my issues with it, but so at the end of the day, I still quite like it. But when you go through all of that turmoil and chaos behind the scenes, it affects the on-screen product. And we will never know how much more these projects would have been quality-wise. Like, let's take Rogue One. It's now well known she was having massive issues with her and Gareth Edwards because she doesn't know how to properly vet and get on the same page with her directors before a movie starts. So she was having a lot of problems. Then when they're doing a bunch of reshoots, Tony Gilroy went in there and started doing all, I mean, so you have all this stuff going on. Rogue One would have been an even better movie had Kathleen Kennedy done a proper job of vetting, discussing, working through issues and everything with her potential filmmakers before bringing them on. If she had done that and then they had just a smooth, everybody's on the same page experience, the movie would have turned out even better. I think the same can be said for a lot of different things. So I agree with you, A3, in principle. And again, I am a Kathleen Kennedy lover. To me, again, in sports terminology, she is a first ballot Hall of Famer, no questions asked. She is simply one of the best producers in the history of Hollywood. Absolutely. I am a 100% Kathleen Kennedy fan. Make no mistake about it. But I don't, just because I'm a fan doesn't mean I bury my head in the sand when I see things that are concerning. Right? I'm a diehard bleed blue and white Toronto Maple Leaf fan, but that doesn't mean when I see there are some fundamental problems on the team, I'm going to say there are fundamental problems on the team. Doesn't change the fact that I am a lifelong, forever and ever, amen, fan of the Toronto Maple Leafs, but when there's something going on that is concerning, I'm going to call it. And when I see, after just 4 movies, There have only been 4 movies put out so far, more coming, but only 4 so far. Time after time after time after time after time, blow up drama between Lucasfilm and the filmmakers, all because Kathleen Kennedy doesn't know how to properly vet her potential filmmakers and how to properly get on the same page with the filmmakers. And then once they do reach an agreement, give them the freedom, even if it's a limited freedom, give them the freedom they agreed to give them. Doesn't mean you give them all the freedom in the world, but if you tell them, we're going to give you like 30% freedom here, work within these parameters, and then 30% of it is your freedom, do whatever you want to do, then don't step in when they're trying to exercise that 30% freedom and start beating it down to 5%. It is that fundamental problem that I believe has been an issue with Star Wars. There are others as well, but I mean, that's the fundamental thing. It does not change that I'm a fan of Kathleen Kennedy. Not at all. You know, people, this is part of the thing of being in a 10, 10, 10 or 0, 0, 0 world. Every movie's 10 out of 10, everything's 0 to 0. It's like, oh, you criticize something about Kathleen Kennedy. That means you hate Kathleen Kennedy. No. Only a moron thinks like that. I criticize things that I don't think is being done right, but I'm still a huge fan of her overall. My wife does not like the fact that I tend to leave cupboards open when I go into the kitchen. I do, I admit, I go into the kitchen, I open the cupboards to get out a plate or something, and I more times than not always, but more times than not, I tend to leave the cupboards open. And it drives my wife crazy. And she will call me out on it. That doesn't mean she doesn't love me to death and love me completely and wholeheartedly. Of course she does. But she's just calling me out on some of my crap. I wish that was the only thing she needed to call me out on. But that's the thing. So I am in Kathleen Kennedy's corner for the most part, but this is a big problem that can't be ignored. This is a big problem that cannot be ignored, and it needs to be addressed either by her, or she's got to move out of that position and get into something that fits her godlike talents when it comes to producing films. So I don't know. It's a tough one for me. It really is a tough one for me. Anyway, Lions Cub just sends in a super chat. Thank you, Lions Club. Fruit Loops writes, do you think Terminator should be rebooted or remade after a hiatus? You remake the first and set it in current times or keep it in the 80s. This is a good question. I think we're going to have to see how Terminator Dark Fate does. Now, I personally think they made a pretty nice little movie with Terminator Dark Fate. I enjoyed it. Definitely the best Terminator since Terminator 2, while that's not saying much. If this movie comes close to breaking even, I think you move forward. This movie's not going to be very profitable. It's probably going to lose money, but that was going to happen no matter how good or bad this movie was, just because of, the brand name Terminator doesn't elicit a lot of confidence in people right now. Even Mackenzie Davis, the star of the film, at my screening, she was there, and she got up in front of the audience just before the screening started, and she goes, if you like this movie, make sure you tell everybody to go see it. And she said, I know Terminator 6 is a tough thing to sell, but come on, they understand that they have an uphill fight here. But if they can at least get some modest response from the audience coming out to see it and supporting it and spreading good word of mouth, I think you move forward with it. If not, then I agree with you, Flo. Put it on a hiatus, come back in a couple years with a reboot. Let's see here. Where are we at? Lion Cub writes, John, will Lupita Nyong'o get an Oscar nomination for Us? It's too early to tell. There are still a lot of movies that are coming out that we need to see how those performances are. Because remember, getting an Oscar nomination is not about you doing great. It's about nobody else doing better than you. If the nominations needed to come out today, if today was the cutoff line and they put out the nominations today, I would say yes, Lupita Nyong'o will get an Oscar nomination and should get an Oscar nomination. But the reality is we're still in October. There's still a lot of the Oscar season movies to come out, so it's a little too early to tell right now. But if it were today, I would say yes. Madison Blake writes, also, are you going to play Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order? The story looks great. I am going to play it. Absolutely. I didn't know for sure until somebody told me that it was also going to come out on PC. So since it's going to come out on PC and on my computer, I will probably I'm going to give that a shot. Because it looks great. It looks fantastic. So, I'll be loading that up. I'll definitely be loading that up, Madsen, give that one a shot. Maybe I'll do, if I like it, maybe I'll start doing some play-in chats with it, if I like it. We'll wait and see. Ernest Talhook writes, love the t-shirt choice today. Hashtag Crisis Cross. Oh, yeah, so my t-shirt. You know what? I actually, of course, we've got Mal from, I'll just lower the mic here. Let me get the mic out of the way. So it's Han Solo and Mal from Firefly in the form of Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction. I do love this shirt. Actually, you know what? I think I've had this shirt for a couple of years. I think this shirt was actually a gift from, I think Harloff gave me this shirt. Not 100% for sure, but I think I got this shirt from Harloff. All right. Fandom Anonymous writes, I like that name. Hey, John, Malcolm here. Love your content and have watched for years. Thank you so much, Malcolm. What's your favorite current DCCW show and why? Thanks for being so awesome. Ooh, you know what? If you had asked me a couple of months ago, before the new seasons had started, I would say that my favorite is Flash. It's just got a great personality about it. I just love there's a whimsical, fun, just a really nice feel to the show. And I mean, 2 seasons ago was not so great. This most recent season was an improvement. But yeah, if you'd asked me that, sorry, let me rephrase. If you ask me today, it's Flash for all the reasons I just gave. But only because I'm not thrilled with Black Lightning yet this season. Now, if you had asked me before the season started, I'd say actually probably my favorite DC CW show right now is probably Black Lightning. I love that show. I think it's great. This season is not off to a strong start. Flash, on the other hand, I feel like is off to a really strong start. So right now I'll say Flash is right now, but a month ago it would have been Black Lightning. So we'll see where it is by the time we get to the end of the year. Ben Rayner writes, seen Arrow this week, loved ending. Have not seen the episode this week. Have not seen this week's episode. I'm sure there's more of Oliver's stupid idiot kids. I hate the flash forwards this season, which is really too bad because I'm really enjoying everything else about the season. I'm really enjoying the stuff they're doing with Oliver and Diggle and all this kind of stuff. I'm enjoying this part. And then they interrupt that really good stuff by doing these dumb flash forwards to Oliver's stupid idiot kids. I do not care about Oliver's stupid idiot kids in the future. Hate that. Anyway, Senior Film writes, do you think Lucasfilm will hire new people to develop Benioff and Weiss's story or just scrap it and develop something else? I got a feeling they'll try to pick up with this. Look, they like the story. They like the idea. You know, the old Republic stuff is stuff that a lot of people have been asking for a long time. And I know in particular, Pablo Dialgo has talked a number about, he really loves the Old Republic era. There's a lot of good stuff you can do there. It's a very rich playground for any filmmakers to come in and do something. So I believe they'll pick up their Senior Film. I do. I believe someone will pick that up. All right, Nick Barbera writes, who's the best out of Pacino, De Niro, and Denzel? Oh, it all, I don't know. It's you know, out of that great guy, and that great guy, who's most great? I don't know. I mean, I can't call it. Josh A writes, LOL Aussie slang M8 equals, mate, and FSS for fuck's sake. Hope you remember the question that was about my American friend being pissed that he lost a role to an Aussie. Okay, that makes much more sense. You know, I've had this debate before, even with Aaron, who's an American actor who got, you know, has expressed some disappointment at times to losing out on an American role to an Aussie actor. And I'm like, here's my point of view on it. It's simply this. Actors play people that they are not. Deal with it. That's it. Actors play people that they are not in real life. Period. Every actor, when they take on a role, unless they are playing themselves, which never happens, they are playing somebody that they are not. Whether that person is straight or gay, left or right, a sports fan, not a sports fan, from Texas or from New York, from Australia or from America, all actors play somebody that they are not. So I don't care. I don't care. Give a gay actor the role of a straight dude. He's playing something he's not. That's what all actors do. Give a straight dude the role of a gay character. It's a person playing something they are not. I don't care. Give somebody from America the role of an Aussie. I don't care. As long as they can pull off an Aussie accent, do it. Give an Aussie actor an American role. As long as they can pull off the proper, voice, I don't care. As long as it doesn't distract in the movie, go for it. I don't care. Actors play people and things that they are not. Some people get offended that that's my point of view. Look how much I care that people get offended that that's my point of view. And I respect that other people have different opinions. That's fine. I'm just saying, actors play things that they are not. That's what acting is. I've never understood this thing is get actors who are actually the thing that they're portraying. Really? So what do we do when we get a movie where that Hitler's in the movie? Are you going to go out and find, we need a real Nazi sympathizer. Is that what you put in your casting call? We're looking for a die-hard Nazi sympathizer because we got a movie with Adolf Hitler in it as a character. So we can't have somebody who's not a Nazi playing Adolf Hitler, can we? I just never understood that. Again, I respect that other people have different opinions on that. I totally do. And who knows, maybe my opinion on this will change in a few years. But right now, my baseline opinion is actors play people that they are not. So I really don't care. I really don't care. But that's just me. Thanks for following up with that, Josh. All right, Min Tran writes, one of two. I agree with you that the last season of Grimm, which I really love that show, that the last season of Grimm was a mess, at least in terms of main storyline of the season. But is there any episode you like? Oh, dude, it's been a couple of years since the last season of Grimm. I can't remember everything. I just remember thinking that the last season was a mess. And then the fact that the final moments of this is like flash forward 20 years to where now his kids are hunters and all that kind of stuff. That was kind of weird, but it's been years since I've seen that thing. So I can't remember the individual episodes, to be honest with you. And then of course, Mintran 22, for me, I laughed so hard at the Love Potion episode, and I love final standalone episodes with the nursing home and the Alzheimer's, Wesson as it's pronounced. I don't remember. All I know is that I really did enjoy this show. It was a show that I was a little late to the party on because it just looked like a throwaway NBC show, whatever. And then it was about halfway through season 1 when I thought, well, I got nothing else to watch right now. I'll watch season 1 of this Grimm and I'll probably stop watching after episode 1. And I watched it, I'm like, wow, I'm really on board with this. And I really like their characters and I just really got into the show, but that was it. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you guys so much for being here. Hey, listen, I want to make a couple quick announcements here. For those of you who might have missed it and the announcement that we made the other day, we have made a change. Now, me and Christian were about to launch 2 new shows together. We were going to do an all Star Wars show called Dark Side, Light Side, and then we're going to do a more general show on my channel called The Campea and Harloff Show. The Star Wars show is going to be over on Harloff's Schmodown Entertainment Network show network. The Campea and Harloff Show was going to be here on the John Campea YouTube channel. That was the plan. I knew it was a little bit of a stretch for me time-wise. But because Christian had enough flexibility, it made it work. We could do 2. Unfortunately, Christian has had some things come up with his schedule. Good things, nothing bad, good things. But Christian has had some things come up with his schedule that when you combine that with my schedule, has made it impossible for us to do the 2 shows. So Christian and I are doing 1 show, and it is going to be Dark Side, Light Side. And instead of being on the Schmodown Network, it will be here on the John Campea YouTube channel starting this coming Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It will be live. So once again, that's going to be me and Christian Harloff doing that. And it is mostly going to be Star Wars stuff. But we're probably, like, the main chunk of the show will be mostly Star Wars stuff, but we'll throw in a few other of the big items that came along that week in the world of movie news, because I know there's going to be some other things that you guys might want to hear me and Christian debate as well. So the main crux of the show will be mostly Star Wars, but we're going to throw in a few other things as well for the general stuff. So that will be live on Tuesday at 2 p.m. here on the John Campea YouTube channel. So mark that down. All right, guys, that will do it for me for now. Thank you to Aaron and Chris for being here a little bit earlier today. Thank you to all you guys for making this a part of your day. Special thank you to those of you who sent in the questions, because number one, you gave us great fun things to talk about, and number two, you supported the channel while you were doing it, and I thank you so much. And everybody else here at the channel thanks you for that as well. All right, guys, that'll do it for now. My name is John Campea, and until next time, bye-bye.